The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
We are getting ready for Star Wars Celebration, everybody. This is a live edition of ForceCenter, and I'm Ken Knapsack.
Scrimshaw, and we are very, very happy to be here. I think that got cut off, so just in case, I'm Joseph Scrimshaw. I'm sure.
Joseph, it's been that kind of day. Take it away.
It's essential. Yeah. Essential, I say that. Yeah, it has been a weird and pokey day for both Ken and I. We were talking before we started about how much we need this. We are very, very happy that our friends are here with us on the internet for just a great big old shot in the arm of the light side of the Force. We both have some drinks. You can even see mine, kind of. Jocasta New edits out drinks. Yeah. I don't know about you, Ken. I had a very, very pokey day. I had a day where I felt like I have like 7 things to finish, and each one I start will encounter an obstacle, and then I'll feel guilty while I try to finish the one that I'm not doing the other 6. That was kind of my day. So I'm very, very happy to be here for some nice Star Wars light side positivity.
Yeah, I don't want to get. There's a phone number that's up. Unless you all want to schedule your colonoscopy, don't use that number. That was my today as well. Still a couple more left. But we always talk about it when we do our Star Wars adventures at the top of the news show with Jennifer. It is just a way to sometimes go, hey, life is tough. We're all dealing with stuff. There's bigger issues in the world. There's smaller issues on our table, but let's come together and celebrate Star Wars. And we're going to be doing that as we race towards Star Wars Celebration.
Absolutely. That was one of the things I had to do today, which was very fun, very lucky to do, which is activate my badge. And then I was looking around for like, okay, now that my badge is activated, the world has opened to me, right? And then I looked at all the other things that I could maybe sign up for, and like they were like, not yet. You don't have an app yet. There's nothing to download. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. So I'm excited to be able to finish that process.
Yeah, I am someone, and I know you're in this vein too. Yeah, Joseph, we're a couple old guys, we're a couple old souls, but we never want to fight change. We always want to try to embrace new things, especially with technology. I do kind of miss. Can I just go to a table and pick up my badge and you say I'm good?
Yeah, no, this is an embarrassment of riches. I'm lucky. My wife and I are going to be going to Disneyland soon, and there's all the new process with the Genie and the Genie Plus and the Lightning Lane. And I was reading all that stuff too, and I was like, this is something fun to go to Disneyland. I feel like I'm reading like my manual to like take my driver's license test of like, okay, I can Lightning Lane once, but not before I park hop unless I have Genie Plus, but not if I Genie Plus the day before. Like it's lucky problem to have. But you do step back and go like, aren't I going to a park outside for fun?
Yeah.
Not to take a test on my phone.
It makes me want to go back to my like early trips to Disneyland in the 70s where, we just pulled the car up to the front gate, got out, and we were there. In my day, you see, it cost 25 cents. My first experience at Galaxy's Edge, Joseph, was on that a rainy day. And again, always so fortunate to get to go. Never complaining beyond, unreasonable measures here. But my friends who were taking us, a husband and wife friend of mine, the night before we had dinner downtown Disney. They're like, all right, cool. You got to download the app. So we got to meet here at 7:30. And I'm like, whoa, I have to be up before 7:30. They're like, we can't get into Galaxy. We can't. And it's all fun. It's all part of the experience. But can they make Galaxy's Edge for the late risers is what I want.
Yeah, I would like that too. This is what kind of broke me out of some of my crankiness is I realized like, okay, well, it's an app. It's, it's going to make things smoother once everybody knows how to use it. And I'm just wanting to yell at a cloud. And then I imagine having to sign up on the app to get in a lightning lane to access a cloud to yell at. And that amused me.
Yeah. I think life would be better if before you yell, you have to access the place to yell. That'd be better.
Yeah. If you had to wait in line to yell, would you yell more or less? That is a real personality test.
It's a Qui-Gon thing, but we are excited to be hanging out with all of you here today, live on the show. It's going to be just fun here, hanging out for a little bit. Now, Joseph and I do choose to drink. We always remind you, drink responsibly, especially if you're a grumpy Star Wars fan on the end of a week. And some of you might not want to drink. There's no necessity to drink along with us, but Joseph, we do need to discuss. I am drinking a martini from a can because I'm just that basic today.
In not even just a can, I saw a flavor. I saw many words. What's going on there?
This is an absolute, not a sponsor, pineapple martini left over from a fire pit party I recently
had. How is it?
It's actually surprisingly really good.
Can you taste the peach?
Yeah. Taste that island. Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah,
that is beautiful. That is beautiful. I have. You can't see it. It is invisible. It is a lovely ginger whiskey, nice and tall. It looks like if you could drink Dagobah, and Dagobah turned out to be delicious. That's what it looks like.
That's wonderful. We are live. Want to know why we're live? I just remembered I have to leave my studio door open because our new puppy Chihuahua needs to come in, and I closed it all the way. Joseph,
okay.
The floor is yours for a second.
Okay, I will chat with the people for a moment. I see some wonderful comments. LQ says, martini in a can? That's a real thing? It is. I think canned cocktails are getting to be a little bit more popular, and there's some like nice ones, but there are some that just really look like weird space age. Like, this is designed to be in a bunker because there's the apocalypse and you need a martini, so get your cans. And Christian Miller says, I've got a beer and a frozen pizza in the oven. That is heaven to me, Christian Miller. Very, very happy for you.
Joseph, your life is really just a matter of when you're getting to the frozen pizza or how far you are from the frozen pizza, much like me with burritos. Any frozen pizzas on the docket tonight?
We'll see. We'll see. I think I'm going to have a nice date night with my wife, and we'll do frozen pizzas if it's late night after a show or a party. But we'll probably have, regular human dinner, which might be pizza. Anyway, that's me. That's my drink. That's your drink. Everything ready for doggy intervention?
Maybe. Yeah. So we have this wonderful new dog. We say puppy. She's 3.5, maybe. She's got a lot of puppy energy, and she's just enjoying her new life, and she's getting more comfortable every day with us. And she has abandonment issues because, don't we all? And she's not in here yet. So when she comes in there, there's a chance you might hear some little puppy whines, maybe a bark.
Aww.
And I'll try to put her on the screen here so she can make her television debut here. Her network television debut.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I see we have some good questions coming in, including a non-Star Wars question. Fave frozen pizza brand. It is certainly not the best, but the one closest to my heart is Tombstone. It was around a lot when I was in Minneapolis. It's not as easy to find here in LA. You got to go to a Ralph's. And sometimes the right Ralph's. Rock and Roll Ralph's carries Tombstone. And it is not the best, but it's the one I'm most used to. It's my comfort food. And a fun behind the scenes thing, I guess, a history is I did some research. And the whole Tombstone thing is because this happened to be just a pizza that started at a bar, I believe in Wisconsin, across from a cemetery. That's the history of what you're eating.
Should we just do like a pizza center and you can make it like an explainer video, like Alex Amali, Star Wars Explained? Maybe we could do that because I would love to give the history of like Tina's Burritos. And we do have a dog in here. I can't.
Oh yeah, pizzas, dogs. This is Friday night at its best.
A lot of questions coming in. We're going to start to get to them. As always, super chats are open. We definitely appreciate it. We're not going to lie about that. We really appreciate them. Helps the show, helps us. Not necessarily to communicate with us, but definitely something we appreciate. We're going to get to those right now. I'm going to try to grab Franny and see if I can pull her up to the camera here. And we're getting ready for Star Wars Celebration. A lot of people in chat, like the great and wonderful Brian Ward, will be hanging out with him there. I saw Scotty from the Bombad podcast.
Yeah.
Threatening to hang out with us at a bar. You're going to have to find us in the bar, Scotty. We ain't going to tell you. It's a game. You have to get a map out and try to locate us. And then Lauren Rome was here as well for the Galactic podcast.
Yeah, a lot of great Star Wars talkers, Star Wars fans. Afra says Tombstone is the best cheap frozen pizza. Thank you for the affirmation. I really understand. Brian Ward asked diced or sliced pepperoni. Here's the thing with Tombstone, both. It's, like sliced on top and then diced beneath the cheese. Chihuahua.
We got ourselves a Franny, a Francis, which translates to free woman, which she definitely is now living with us here. She's such a lovey-dovey little. Okay, yeah. This is disgusting internet. This is used against us here. Okay.
Well, that is a GIF. There's like 7 good GIFs in that moment.
Yeah, it is, right? Really. Anyways, sorry, I jumped off, Joseph. I jumped off.
No
I had
problem.
the opportunity.
No, you had to. It's so good to see Francis live on the internet.
We definitely got some great Star Wars questions in here, Joseph. But this is a question Scotty from the Bob Bad podcast just asked here that I want to. I've never had this discussion with you, and I want to get your take here. Scotty asked Joseph, by the way, Scotty, that profile picture, that's not the you I know. Come on, Joseph. Do you doctor your pizza with anything special?
So there are some brands that I feel skimp on the cheese, particularly if you don't get a cheese. Like if you get a cheese pizza of any brand, that's like the baseline of what cheese should be. And then sometimes it's like, well, there's pepperoni on this, so you don't need as much cheese. And I say no. And I put as much cheese as the crust can bear. I test the load-bearing power of the crust in my stove by putting extra cheese on it.
That's wonderful. Absolutely. I recently, despite a lifetime of enjoying frozen pizzas myself, I just, I've been last couple of years been cooking a lot more and learning my way around the kitchen. So I started adding sliced red onions, green onions, mushrooms, extra cheese, tomatoes to our frozen pizzas. And then Grace had never done that either. So the first time I did it was like to her in that moment, I was like Guy Fieri. She was just like, wow. And it was a great
Flavor
moment.
Town right in Burbank. Amazing.
It's like, you don't have to accept what is given to you. You can make additions. So great question.
That's a Star Wars lesson about destiny. Choose your pizza.
Everything is. In Kenobi, Joseph, we might be seeing Obi-Wan in some bars. Do you want to see maybe if he has like we know he loves diners. Maybe there's a new diner he can go. Maybe we can spend some time with him having a space BLT.
Oh, yeah, I would love that. I'd also love if he is living in his cave or if he moves into his hut. I would love to see his home cooking doing basically what you described of like he's grilling, some Womp Rat or whatever, a Womp Rat cutlet he bought in Mos Eisley. And he's just looking around and going like, how can I spice this up? How can Kenobi make it different tonight for Kenobi?
And it practicing his lines, just like, always on the move. He's just like totally I got to get some
going through the best of. Yeah. We're still eating half a Womp Rat. Yeah,
as if Kenobi was in a fan of Star Wars, not just a character in it. We've got our a super chat we want to get to from Sean Conway. Thank you, Sean. Says thank you, Ken, Joseph, and Jennifer. Of course, Jennifer Landa will be on one of these live shows at one point. Hard for her to get away today, so we want to acknowledge that. People always ask, "Hey, where's Jen?" She'll definitely be a part of these. Don't you worry. But Sean says, "Thank you, Ken, Joseph, and Jen, for being my Star Wars sanctuary online, especially when I need to hear some much needed sequel trilogy love. Do you guys think more love for the sequels will grow?" It's a great question, Joseph. Something we touch on every now and then. Let's temperature test that of where you think it is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing such great discussion about the evolution of the prequels right now. Is Ewan and Hayden are on their press tour of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is also their just sort of 15 to 20 years later victory lap, where they're both being asked a lot about what it feels like to have kids come up to them. And you can see as the clips come out that they're getting a little bit more practiced at their answers, Ewan in particular.
Yeah.
who really expresses how much it's great that he's finally getting to hear from the generation that loved the movies. And he says very gently now, like, that we only really heard from the critics and they chose not to like them very much. There's that one where Hayden just goes, Revenge of the Sith is a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
So nerding out a little bit about that, but I think that's definitely going to happen. I think the generation that grew up with the sequels or even age just wasn't paying as much attention to this sort of debate about what's going to happen between the three movies and the expectations. I think it'd come back in fresh. And final thing I'll say on this, Ken, I also just think that there is this great Star Wars magic that happens is even when you kind of don't like it, there's a lot of people who still like the toys or like the video games, and you start appreciating the bits and pieces of it, and the sort of the frustration and the dislike kind of falls away, and it might not be your favorite, but it's just part of Star Wars. Like I have a friend who's never been a fan of the prequels, probably never will be a big fan of the prequels. Can't get enough of the prequel action figures lately, you know?
Yeah. That's a great point that we're just going to kind of see that cycle repeat, a cycle we saw firsthand with the prequels. And yeah, I'm enjoying the prequel generation getting their moment in the sun with this series coming back, and then to have performers like Ewan and Hayden and others kind of going, yeah, it's nice to hear that our lives weren't complete wastes, that we put something out there that people enjoy. Yeah, perspective time. It's so weird to think, 20, if you were 12 watching Force Awakens, you're pushing what, 18? You're 18 pushing, 19, 17, basically going to that. You probably have your own podcast about Star Wars. And you're right. If you just loved it and saw it for that, we're already probably going to see that. And I sometimes see that thrown back into the face of the love of Star Wars, of just because you grew up with that doesn't mean it was good then and is good ever. Like, it still sucks. And I see some of that energy there. And that might be true for movies or moments here and there. I get it. We all have that natural nostalgia. Your favorite SNL cast is the one that was the cast when you were in college. How many think pieces have I heard on that over the years? But I think that undercuts the true connection that those fans have with the films, and still have, and will continue to have, and will continue to be able to share that and grow it.
Yeah, and I also think that goes to something that we've been talking about, is like there's lots of ways to love stories, and then there's lots of ways to talk about them. And if you can kind of talk about it from an analytical point of view of like, I'm going to make an argument that the prequels are actually really good films. Here's my thesis statement. Here's my supporting evidence from the text, and you can have like a real critical discussion. And then also there's just like opinions, and no debate, no analysis needed. If you loved it when you were a kid and you love it when you're adult, you love it. Period. It's a great movie to you. And that's the end of that when it comes to opinions, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like frozen pizza. Once it enters your life, it's there forever, no matter how. And Christian Miller has a comment here I want to highlight that is the kind of attitude we really appreciate and love around here. I love the sequels, but I don't like The Rise of Skywalker. However, Kijimi might be my favorite planet/location ever designed in Star Wars. And that's the magic of it. And I'm not saying that Christian's going to suddenly ever change his opinion on The Rise of Skywalker. I'm just saying that's there for Christian to enjoy and go back to. And that was me with prequels when I was wrestling with them a lot more when they first came out. There was those sounds, the seismic charges I always mentioned, but other things and other planets. Camino. I just remember being blown away by the design of Camino. And I'm already seeing it, Joseph, with Lego Skywalker Saga. There's one friend. I'm not going to out this friend, but they're kind of in the movie space. We're PlayStation friends, so that you can see what how many hours I've spent on MLB The Show, and I can see what he's playing and what trophies he's won. So I won't out this person. Other than, I guess it's a he. I added that. They are playing the hell out of Skywalker Saga, and I know that they are a Star Wars fan who doesn't love the Disney era at all. Like, well, that's not fair. Started out strong and then really strongly dislike it, and I'm noticing that they're playing the episode 8 maps. They're playing the episode 9 map. And next time I see them, I'm just going to kind of ask, what'd you think about Lego Skywalker? And I bet there might be something that they're like, yeah, I hate those films, but I'll tell you what, that design is really good, or that planet's really good. And I just love that.
Yeah, and I think it's just fine if it stops there. If you're like, yeah, no, I'm never gonna enjoy The Rise of Skywalker overall as a film. It's never gonna be my favorite, but here's the 8 things I like from it. Sometimes it stops there, but I think liking those things opens you up to possibly liking it more, if that is your destiny, right?
Yeah, and not to get into a deeper discussion, we don't have a fun Friday night here for us, but yeah, you and I have had these discussions and thoughts on not just critics. It's not a tossing critics out. I think it's a valid profession and career and pursuit, and there's been some great critics that I've been influenced by over the years. But just this, sometimes there's a placement of oneself over the franchise in a kind of an ownership capacity that just kind of tears down and doesn't build up. That never sits right with me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. We got another question coming in here a little while back when we were talking about Obi-Wan's dinner choices. Rob Mack says, you don't think Obi-Wan is a vegetarian. And I find that fascinating, because I think maybe he's a Coruscant vegetarian. but I'm wondering if, fresh fruit and vegetables and, basic carbs are kind of a challenge on Tatooine.
This is this speaks to me. Mostly at my house here, we're veggie and vegan, and I try to keep to that. Had a great vegan chicken sandwich dinner last night. Some vegan mac and cheese the other night at Star Wars Celebration. It's gonna be beef burritos. It's gonna be food truck tacos. It's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a lot. So maybe you're right. Maybe Kenobi's like, I just can't keep it up here. It's hard to keep veggie on the road.
I think it's, his long list of losses, this is lower, losing Anakin to the dark side, the entire Jedi Order, Satine, Qui-Gon. Way down that list is just him going like, I could get a salad anytime, day or night.
Anything.
Yeah, and I'm actually really feeling it because I've been eating just much better the last 2 weeks. And then I thought about convention season coming up and like, this is gonna destroy me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying really hard to go into celebration at the top of my game. I'm eating right. I'm in the gym 6 days a week right now. I'm like, I'm gonna hit that convention floor, looking and feeling the best I've had in years. And then I'm gonna get a floor hot dog and 3 beers, and we're gonna forget everything I've done up until now.
Exactly.
Darth Cadis says, "Hello, greetings from Poland.
Oh,
We
wow.
love all of our people around the world watching
Hello.
An Oscar film forecast is here. We always have fun saying that's actually Oscar's name, Oscar Film Forecast. Dexter's Diner is definitely not vegan friendly. Yeah, I gotta imagine that.
Yeah. I think Dex probably warns people that there's definitely been some meat on the grills. He'll make you something veggie or vegan.
Yep.
But he might need to
Because
take a little bit longer to clean the grill.
Dex is such a good traveler of the galaxy. He's a basilisk of the people. So he's never going to judge you for your diet, never going to judge you for what you're trying. But he's just going to be honest. Like there's a Ronto burger, and it's here if you want it. But I'll cook you up some peppers or something.
Yeah, I think there's just straight up meat juice in his shirt, right? Like that's a meaty shirt he's wearing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, my wife's a vegetarian too, so it's fun when we will go to restaurants and she will order something that sounds like there is no possibility that there's meat in it, and she always has to be like, "I'm so sorry, but does the carrot balsamic salad have meat in it?" And the server's always like, "No." Well, I mean, it's washed in bacon, but I feel like that's the experience at Dexter's.
Yeah. It does have chicken cutlet oil on it. What do you There you go.
Exactly.
Question here from Brennan Marr, Brennan Mystical Marr. Just was recently on Brennan's podcast, Page Turners They Were Not. Thank you for having me on, Brennan. He says, question, if you could create a nerd convention for any property, what would it be? This is a tough question because I feel there is one for pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah, there is, and I really like the conventions that are sort of like bring what you want and let's celebrate. Dragon Con in Atlanta, a convention I've been doing for many years back home in Minneapolis called Convergence that has a sort of celebrate everything. I'm going to say Twin Peaks. There was one for a long time that I never got to. And then Showtime owns Twin Peaks up to a point. It's complicated. And they're going to have their big 30th anniversary convention put on by Showtime, which I think is a little bit more of like, can we get some of that Star Wars, Star Trek money out of Twin Peaks? Which the answer is no. As much as I love it, no. But then the 30th anniversary was 2020. So they shut down this smaller fan convention that had been going on forever, announced this big convention, and then never had it. So I want an actual Twin Peaks convention that I can go to.
Do you think would David Lynch show up to that? I can't because on one hand, I think he'd be like, I don't know what that. I don't know. On the other hand, he'd be in the corner just doing the weather report live in the food court or something like that.
He'd do it if there's like a reason to, because like he for a while he had his own kind of convention in LA and it bounced around to New York called Festival Disruption, and he's now got he's so great because now he's just kind of crystal clear. He'll just say it sometimes on his YouTube channel like, I do not like leaving the house. So it's got to be like a real specific good reason for him.
That is a great answer. Some good suggestions in the crowd here. Brian Ward suggesting a UHF con. I like that. I'm good with that idea. And then we also have Street Sharks Convention, where we would hope Vin Diesel would show up for that. And then Victor Bracamonte says Doctor Who Con, which they do have, Joseph, right? You attend this all the time.
Yeah, there are a couple great conventions. There's one in Minneapolis, one in Chicago, but here in Los Angeles, there's a big convention called Gallifrey One, and it's so much fun. It's kind of it's the one that a ton of the actors and the writers come to, and it's a real kind of friendly. It's big, but it's not like huge. It's not crushingly large. So and there's a good bar con there. So a lot of times it'll just be like, hey, that's the current showrunner of Doctor Who. And people are just buying them drinks in the bar,
Magic of a convention, indeed.
Yeah, David Bradley, right? Red Wedding. What's the character's name? Ken, the actor.
The Red Richard Madden. What? Who?
The person who was responsible for the Red Wedding.
Yeah. You talk Walder Frey.
Yeah. So he plays the first Doctor in a bunch of stuff. So I had a fun experience where I urinated next to him, and it was terrifying because I had just recently seen the Red Wedding. So that's always fun.
That's good. Roden suggests a Hitchhiker's Guide convention. That would be a choice for me. If there isn't already one where we'd all bring our towels. I'd love that one there. Jack Cole says, is there a GOT-Con? There's unofficial ones, and this year was going to be a big one, official one in Vegas at the Rio, and it got postponed when COVID kind of spiked back up. So I actually was trying to get out to that one, but didn't happen. I think my official answer would be a 90s con. Not like a concert of 90s bands. That's something you can go to now, but like a con that's just the 90s, and every booth is like toys from the 90s, music, fashion, just nostalgia booths. That's where I just want to live forever. So I'll just go there.
Oh, that would be lovely. That would be great.
There we go. Any question jumping out to you, sir? Sorry.
Yeah, let's see. Darth Cadus is asking, do you think there's a chance Ken Feige will appear at Star Wars Celebration and announce the film officially? That is something that has been definitely reported, right? That Kevin Feige is producing. Michael Waldron is writing something. I'm going to guess by Darth Cadus's question, and that there are more rumors out there that this is a possibility of being announced next. Yeah, I think that is the wild card of Star Wars Celebration, if there's going to be any announcement about movies. And if there is, it must be positive, right? It can't be like they have that Thursday kind of opening ceremony where they talk about future live action stuff. And then, by the way, Rogue Squadron is postponed, but like, it has to be just celebratory, right? So
yeah,
I think if anything happened, it would be like that. There was that really big Marvel panel at Comic-Con a little while back where they kind of announced some solid stuff. And then right at the end, Kevin Feige was like, and don't worry, we're doing Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
You'll hear about it, right? I think if there's anything announced movie-wise, Kevin Feige or Taika Waititi surprise appearance, I think it would be like a button to go, here's the title. And just a total tease, no information. That's my wild guess.
I'll put my money on the board next to you there for the bet. I think that just makes a lot of sense. Unless they're playing, false and tricksy with what a panel might be about it. I think they've got to be pretty honest. But they all surprises are built into these things, and that would be a fun surprise. Feige comes out, or maybe Patty Jenkins comes out because that's still a go. Or Taika Waititi, something like that. The Lando series, more information there. Leslie Headland comes out and gives a wave and shows more about the Acolyte, not in terms of what cast or anything like that, but just graphic in the timeline, more specific. Something like that would be a lot of fun. I'm kind of expecting that. I don't know if they're ready for Feige yet, but I hope so, because I want that buzz. I want to experience that buzz.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got some great questions coming in here, including a great super chat. We got a Kenobi question. We'll get to that one, but I do want to. This was a fun one. Nick Field asked this: how do you both handle the whispers one might hear out in LA about future Star Wars projects, especially as we prepare for Celebration and the possibility of future project announcements? I love this question because it is fun. Joseph and I talk often here at ForceCenter. We live and work in Los Angeles. I've been out here about 25 years. Joseph, you've been out here for God. It's moving fast now. Coming up on 8. How long?
It's just over 8 now.
I met you when you were, a year out here after absolutely dominating Minnesota for so long.
I hadn't even had a parking ticket yet when I met you. That's how new I was to Los Angeles.
That's the good old days. No parking tickets. It always happens, and eventually, someone is working in Star Wars, and there's things you find out. Sometimes there's things like we've been at parties, Joseph, where someone's like, "Oh, I'm doing this," and we just both have to do this, and like walk away. Like almost like I don't want to hear it. Or the night before in Orlando, I was in a car with some of the folks I was working with, and we one of the people just was like, "Oh, that thing tomorrow, this is what it is." And and we're you kind of cover it, it's kind of news, but part of me is like, I just don't want to hear it. So Nick, I think the best way I could answer your question is I sometimes I just take it for what it's worth. It's not final till it's on the .com or it's actually out there. And then I just kind of try to let that information sit there, and then I go talk about Star Wars as it shows up on my screen.
Yeah. Anybody that I've known who's been close to actually working on Star Wars or MCU and that has, for the most part, to me, respected their NDA and only hinted at things or said, "I have a thing I really want to tell you, but I can't right now," or "I just got permission and it's going to be announced." So the people that I've known are pretty respectful. Sometimes I hear things about the process and maybe even people who are once or twice removed from the process and have opinions about the personalities and the process. And so I feel like I get some insights there. The main thing is the really weird overhearing. I joke about this, but I think you should always, when talking about your opinions, if you're in the Los Angeles area, do the Hollywood check. I was having lunch at like my local restaurant that is right by me once, when I was talking with another friend about movies. What do you like? What you didn't like? And Christopher Nolan sat down next to us, and it very could have easily been somebody being like, "Oh, Batman Begins," blah 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 blah, like, and like you don't want to do that. And then the other thing, the biggest thing that for me that's ever happened with this is I had a meeting with my manager, and there was somebody who had been involved in a producer role, not any of the big names that we as fans know and discuss. A deeper bench person, so I don't want to start any rumors, but somebody who definitely had inside information and was spilling about other people's opinions, intentions, and it's not anything that I'm going to repeat, but I did want to like almost go over to him and say, could you either speak louder because I want to hear everything you're saying, or could you be aware that I have a Star Wars podcast and someone else might just broadcast all of these hot button issues that you're talking about. I'm not going to because I don't think it's right, but like, that's the biggest thing to me, overhearing.
Yeah, they have to be. They need to be really careful, and I think they should vet extras who just are on sets breaking every NDA and taking pictures. I had a set of pictures shared with me at a party that I didn't even ask for, and I had the same reaction where I was kind of like doing the half like, oh, that is that, but I wanted to be like you don't know who I am, man. Like you could sink a production with this stuff. Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. On the other side, though, we're definitely not going to go into specific, but you and I both have experienced the good old drunken party gossip rant, including some great prequel information, all behind the scenes stuff that you and I got one night at a party that I was just like, you shouldn't be saying this, but keep going.
But thank you. Very interesting. Yes. Yes.
It is part of the fun and the danger of living and working out here.
Indeed. Should we go to this Kenobi super chat?
Yes, this is great. All right.
Is Kenobi too broken for love at this point? This is a great beginning of a song. I hear sad Tatooine saxophone. Is Kenobi too broken for love at this point, or would a short-term dalliance endanger the mission too much? Obi-Wan charm plus bar equals 0. I don't believe it. This is really, really great. I think that I just read that Kenobi Legends novel from 2013, and I've been really struggling how to talk about it because I think a ton of people have read it, and I think a lot of people haven't. So I kind of want to be able to give my opinions, but I don't want to be spoilery. So for people who haven't read it, there's an element of that temptation in the book, which I thought was it was one of the parts of the book that I really enjoyed. It was pitch perfect. to me. And I think that I don't think that Kenobi is too broken for love. I think he would particularly enjoy friendly, easygoing companionship. Like, I think he knows, like, I'm not going to fall into a fiery, a passionate affair. That's not where my head is at. But that if he met someone in Mos Eisley and they could just have lunch every Tuesday, and this person really respected his boundaries and he got that companionship. Oh, I think he'd love that. I don't know. There's fiery romance, and then there's just like this other person. You and this other person are like blankets to each other. And I think that's the one he really would be tempted by and really can't have because it risks sucking that person into his dangerous world.
This is I'm a rebel, Dottie. No,
I'm an exile, Dottie. I live in a cave, Dottie.
This is spectacular. No, I love that. I love that take. And are you suggesting that like he just wants the companionship, the connection, that lunch on Tuesday, or does it? Did he hear some things from Rael Averross, and he's like, "Hey, I'm in a different spot in my life and career. Just can't get attached to the passion like you're talking about," which I think is accurate, because I think at the end of the day, he's always going to choose what's right for the Jedi Order, or whatever, if you want to call it that at the point, or this mission. He can't get distracted. But I don't know.
Yeah. I know. For me,
I mean,
Kenobi sexy times. Is that what we're talking about here on a Friday night?
Calling it a Rael Averross way of thinking.
Yeah, no, look, I think, hey, if something happened and there was truly like, there's no risk here. This is two ships passing the night. Sure, maybe. I don't think I think he has normal. I think he had some Satine thoughts, put it that way. But I also think the same. I think he's not like, Anakin, where Anakin's like, oh, ships that go fast, Padme's so beautiful. And I think he's like, I don't crave adventure excitement. I don't need to fly fast. That person is very beautiful, but I can contain myself. I think he's just really got some control.
He absolutely does. Absolutely does. I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and no spoilers, but I think we're both around the same page number into the Brotherhood book. I'm having a great time with it, but that's kind of sums up Anakin for a little bit of it. I like things that go fast. Padme's beautiful. Yeah, that's kind of where Anakin's at. Yeah, there you go. Great stuff. Sebastian Fila's in chat. AJ Swacker, Tim Langle, Chris Kiefer, my favorite librarian out here in the LA County area. He's having a lot of fun. And we got a great, generous super chat here from Kenosis. That's a great name. Says, seeing Hayden in the interviews made me emotional. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I dismissed the prequels until a younger friend fiercely defended them. We're right, of course. Do you have do you have a defining conversation or a moment that helped you rethink the prequels? I'll start with my answer, because I've talked about it on ForceCenter, and it involves you in the beginning of our working partnership. But it was several little moments. I've talked about playing Battlefront 2 in 2005 and 6, and some of the prequel maps made me appreciate things more. But I was just quite frankly missing a lot of it. And this is not to say, we always say, hey, not everything in those prequels is perfect. Not everything holds up. Yeah, put that on the shelf. I almost get tired of hearing that from myself. Tired of the caveats. I've always loved these films, and then you came on Jedi Alliance with me and Maud Garrett, and you and I just met at the con. You were fresh in LA, no parking tickets. I said, yes, Star Wars. What do you want to talk about? And you said, I'd like to kind of defend the prequels, which is a very especially now that I know you. I don't even think that's what you're out there to do, to defend them like you're some warrior ready to win a fight. You just wanted to explain them. And the specific thing in the thing that you had said that made me go, much like Joe Bluth, I've made a huge mistake, is when you just describe the Trade Federation blockade of Naboo, which is so held up in pop culture punditry as, how boring is that? A trade dispute, a blockade. And you were like, imagine if Amazon had an army and blocked off Delaware. Wouldn't that be a concern? And I had never stopped. This is 2014. I never stopped to think of it in those terms. And that was a smashing of the brakes that just made me go, what else have I missed? And started taking the deeper dive. And that has changed. It's changed a lot about how I just take in Star Wars and all of pop culture and my favorite stories and franchises. Where it's not like some you came down from heaven with the 10
Right.
commandments. No, but that's what that is. And I hadn't stopped to look at what it was because I was too worried about all the surface things and the dings and the pizza rolls and all the things that are being thrown in front of the prequels, and not seeing what was there. And that changed the game for me. So number one, cheers. Thank you. Been a pleasure to work with you all these years.
Cheers. Yes.
But that was a specific moment for me.
That is really, really great. And I think, yeah, it's wonderful when those moments happen where someone kind of says something to you that opens all these other doors and go like, ooh, if I can think about that this way, I want to, go pursue all these other ideas and see what I think. Yeah. Kind of opposite side of that story for me is I had a lot of criticisms about the prequels, some of the standard ones, but I just loved them because they were Star Wars and I collected the toys. And so I had this like weird relationship with them where like, well, I know I can't speak to anyone about them, but I enjoy watching them and I watch them, even though I have all these criticisms. So they just kind of existed like that for a long time. And then right after I moved to LA, around this time, I finally watched the Clone Wars on Netflix and was just loving it, right? Loving the actual ideas, but also just like the clone troopers look so cool. The Republic gunship's one of my favorite ships ever. Quality time with Obi-Wan had a dalliance with a lady friend, like just everything. It was blowing my mind. And at the same time, I was reading Chris Taylor's book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. And there was one particular night where it was really getting into the development of the prequels, and it was just so clear. It's available lots of other places, this information of like, this is the story that George Lucas always intended. He didn't backtrack and make some weird left choice to talk about the political situation. It was seeded in A New Hope. When Tarkin's talking about, getting rid of the Senate, like that, this has always been the story. And I felt this moment of just hubris, of my own hubris, that I'd spent years thinking that I should tell this guy what his story is when the story has existed the entire time that I've been a Star Wars fan. Plenty to debate in that, but that was my epiphany. And I practically just stood up in bed like, wait, I've been looking at this in the like, how should they be different instead of what are they and why are they? And then I read and just that all the stuff we talk about on the podcast of, engage with the story you're presented with, even if there's maybe some things you don't like, dig a little deeper if you want to like it better. If you want to just watch it and go, not for me, always cool. But if you wanted to, and that's and then I ended up going on my friend Jackie Kashian's podcast and talking about the prequels. And you emailed me that day when I got home from Jackie Kashian's podcast.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you're like, hey, do you want to come on Jedi Alliance? Like, yeah, I'd love to. I just did a podcast talking about the prequels. And you're like, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, and I know I've mentioned before, we've been podcasting on ForceCenter so long, we have to kind of give those caveats of, we've probably said this 10 times before, but we're so happy to have newer listeners all the time. So apologize for sharing older stories. But Maud and I, and Maud is of that special edition prequel generation in the mid-90s where she discovered Star Wars thanks to special editions. We would make the jokes, which I love making prequel jokes. I love making Star Wars jokes. I love there's silly stuff in the original trilogy, and we would make our jokes, never with any giant intention of tearing them down, but we'd make, right, this is kind of silly. And we didn't have a ton of listeners and a ton of comments, but a lot of the ones that we got said politely, as if they were Padme trying to, use some diplomacy. Hey, we get it, but those are our Star Wars films. And the moment I saw that in print in a comment, I was just like, I don't want to be that Star Wars fan that stands there with a shield and a lightsaber like a Jedi guard and says, you can't go in the Jedi Arc. I didn't want to do that anymore. Whether or not I fully loved everything about him. And that was a big changing moment for me too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was really powerful, right? That was when this generation, who is now giving Hayden and Ewan their victory tour, really started to let themselves be known. And I can't wait for those voices from the sequel trilogy.
And Biker Scout says, just started listening to your podcast in the last few months, and it's fantastic. So that's a news story for Biker Scout. And the Biker Scout, you might not even know that Biker Scouts are my favorite troopers. So there you go.
That is absolutely great. There have been a ton of great questions coming in here. So I am scrolling to see what's a good one here. Well, they're all good. Seeing the one to grab. Oh, here, Nathan Bauer says, did you hear the possible title for the Fallen Order sequel, Jedi Survivor? What are your thoughts? Vague, but interesting. Ken, are you excited if that is indeed the title?
I'm excited. It makes me think of one of my favorite songs from Nathaniel Ratcliffe and the Night Sweats, Survivor. I'm a survivor. I won't sing for you all here tonight. No, I love
thought
that.
of the cake version of I Will Survive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the Tony Clifton version as well, if you want to go to that version. Yeah, I absolutely really dig that. And I'm someone who loves so many of the things in Fallen Order. The gameplay kind of frustrated me, and some of the things didn't connect with me as it did for other people. But I love a lot of the themes that are present in Fallen Order, and that just makes so much sense. Fallen Order having to do a lot with trauma recovery, moving forward, change, agency, all those things we love in Star Wars. Jedi Survivor, that sounds delicious. Love that idea.
I absolutely love that. I'm really curious to see, with all the rumors, if it's going to continue Cal Kestis's story and Sarah Junda's story, or if we're going to jump around to in this era and maybe Cal is an NPC you meet, or maybe you play him for one mission because you're playing another survivor. Whatever it is, and if there are more rumors out about this is who it is, I haven't heard them. I love it because it makes it sound like a tense video game of like, okay, you have to survive in a not friendly time in the galaxy, but it also gets to the soul, and that's I think what Jedi Fallen Order did so well. Of it had all the fun in the action and the pulp thrill of Star Wars, but it had so much soul in the storytelling. So the idea that you can read Survivor is yes. There are special troops trained to kill me is a real great action thing. But then it also goes to the philosophy of how do you survive during a really dark time?
Yeah, man, I'm excited for it, and that's kind of the I don't say that surprises me at all because again, I love so much of Fallen Order. I just sometimes the gameplay messes with me and takes away a little bit of my joy, and that's me as a gamer not being a great gamer or whatever you want to say. But this is the power of Star Wars and the power of a new Star Wars adventure in this world with these kind of characters and more BD1. I mean, come on. Hopefully it can't go wrong there. Great question there. And for those, if you just joined us and people are checking in here, ForceCenter Live Q A, we're getting ready for Star Wars Celebration, hanging out, having some adult Kenobi beverages. Ask away. If we miss your question, the super chats, which are appreciated, we see them. They're designed to be seen by us with the colors and everything here on our chat board. But if you ask a question and we miss it and you really want to get an answer, don't be shy. Ask it again. We can only scroll back so far without our eyes kind of going out of our sockets here. So this is a question here from the Cali kid. Aside from everything, I love that. Aside from everything, what is your most anticipated thing about Star Wars Celebration? I am super excited to just feel the positive Star Wars vibes. Joseph will be there soon enough. So many things to look forward to. What's on your list here?
Yeah, I started going through the schedule earlier today, and there's so many. I think I knew that there were so many stages, but I didn't quite realize how many stages and how many different kinds of panels there are. I think, in all honesty, it really is the floor that is the most special thing for me. Is it's not only my deep love of action figures to go action figure hunting and action figure looking, but you overhear conversations, you see different merch. It's very kind when anybody who listens to ForceCenter or knows us for something else talks to us. So it just being on the floor, the combination of the action figures and just the community for me. There's other things on the floor besides the action figures, but if I was a cartoon, when I walked in the floor, instead of my eyes turning into hearts, they would just turn into 3 3/4 vintage action figures of my eyeballs. So excited for that. I think for anything kind of announcement wise, we're in such a weird time. There's a lot that's right around the corner to celebrate. It'll be weird that we're in the midst of Kenobi. So honestly, I think in 2019, so much of the conversation, just a casual conversation, it was always friendly, but it was, are we cool with Palpatine coming back?
Right.
And it's really interesting to think that whole weekend might just be a discussion of what happened in episode 1 and 2 of Kenobi and what's going to happen next. And that's really interesting.
That's a big change because we hadn't seen Mandalorian yet, so we didn't know much about that, right? We're waiting. We knew that was coming. The reveal of 9, other things, more information about Galaxy's Edge, right? That big panel. It was a different time. I got to be honest, I am less worried about the news. That does not mean I'm not going to be tremendously excited when some news drops, and we're going to maybe try to record some episodes on the go there or whatever, but we're also not going to burden ourselves with too much content creation if it takes away from our joy of the experience. But I'll be excited. But I'm really excited for Kenobi. That's kind of the highlight, which, luckily we all get to experience no matter where you are in the world when that drops. I'm excited about that. Community, the floor. We talk about our favorite memories in Chicago, walking around with the great Brian Ward. Each of us at one point peeling off to find figures or things or memorabilia that we're like, I've been looking for that. And the community. I can't stress enough how powerful the vibes, the positive vibes of this convention are when you're there. They really shine through all the other things you see online, Twitter. If Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022 is your first Star Wars Celebration convention or your first convention, I almost envy you, but that's not like a Jedi, because you're going to experience something fun and something that you could get ready for, but you can brace for impact. You could try to land the invisible hand down on Coruscant without destroying it. But you're going to be blown away by the positive energy that you're going to experience there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And the cosplay, that's another thing on the floor of seeing, like some of the amazing cosplay, some of the comedy cosplay, some of the just what a surprise that somebody did that.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of great stuff there. One comment that scrolled by a little while in the back that I want to be sure to shout out is I apologize. Not seeing, getting back to it to see who posted it. Somebody very astutely pointed out in our discussion of Kenobi Sexy Times that he is quite flirtatious with Asajj Ventress, and that's true. He flirts with Asajj. He obviously flirts with Satine. I think he flirts a little bit with the bounty hunter Sugi. So he definitely knocks on the door, but does he go inside?
He does, and as he should, because all emotions are valid, experiences for every being in the galaxy, and Jedi don't deny those. They just don't want to push them too far past.
Exactly. Christian Miller pointed out the flirtatious vibes. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, and one of the other things I won't, I've joked about one of the chain restaurants I'll probably be at one point, but I think we'll hold back on saying exact locations of places, but I'm looking forward to getting there, checking in the night before the convention, and just having fun and just getting a nice meal, getting some drinks, maybe go shopping in some spots, and just get ready for the fun that's gonna come our way.
Yeah, absolutely. We have somebody who reposted a question per your instructions, so I think we should be sure to grab that one.
Do it.
This is from Craig Dean. Just reposted it. Craig says, what is your interpretation of Rey's vision of her parents in The Last Jedi, and has it changed since the release of The Rise of Skywalker?
It's a deep question for a Friday night with a canned martini in my hand.
What does your peach martini think?
Here's where I'm
trying to tell Rey.
Yeah, here's where I go. I absolutely feel it's a continuation of the story, and that's something we always say. 8 was not the end of the journey. It, without a doubt, in 8, you get that sense that at that point in time, it's a reveal that she is truly Rey from nowhere beyond just Jakku. It's something bigger than that. And I think that is true because to me, and Joseph, feel free to come along and clean up my spill in aisle 6 here. I just see a lot of what is being served to her in that story, and particularly in that mirror, is fears and things, information she wants. You and I just covered the Yoda arc in Clone Wars season 6, and it's a lot about Yoda and the Jedi chasing the information they feel they need. Who is Sidious? How do we win this war? And they need to learn, or Yoda needs to learn, that hope can exist, but maybe not necessarily in the direction or the ways you think it is. And you have to sometimes look for different answers. I think in that moment, in that wall, she sees, I don't know. I won't know who my parents are. My parents aren't knowing. The enemy lies to her later based on information he feels he has at that point. You're nothing. You're part of the story. That's her. That's some of the worst fears she has, because she's believed that about herself for so long. I am Rey from nowhere. I speak of myths, not climb the stairs to the top to be part of the myth. And so that's everything I've known about myself. Oh my God, it's my worst fear. And she needs to learn that she has everything she needs. That's all she needs is what she has here right now. And then later on goes and learns that, but hey, your family it has some importance in the sense of it's a big, bad, ugly, evil name. And you now feel that, oh no, my worst nightmare. I thought that was that thing. Now it's this thing. I can't escape this. I can't escape the name. And now I'm being told, you are what you are, so you might as well give in to hate because that's who you are, and the journey continues in that direction.
Yeah, no, I really agree with that. I think that the story of the dark side spaces, the cave on Dagobah, in the mirror cave on Octo, is it whispers at you saying, "I've got answers," and I think it kind of aligns with what Yoda says about the dark side of it. It's the quick path, the easy path, the seductive path. And then once it gets you in there, because it's whispering, I got answers for you, it just reaches into your mind and pulls out your own fears and reflects them at you, or gives you a version of the truth that is framed in the most frightening and upsetting way possible. So the question in Rey's heart is, I don't feel like I have identity. I don't feel like I have a place in the story unless it is defined by these parents. She is looking to everyone to help define her. She keeps trying to give the lightsaber away, even though it is calling to her, even though it came to her hand on Starkiller Base. She's going to Luke and saying, Luke, can you just tell me what to do? Can you please tell me what my place is? And then Kylo's kind of arguing the opposite of like, you shouldn't be informed at all by the past. You should kill it, wipe it out. But she wants connection. And so the worst thing that the cave can possibly show her is that she is alone. So it's kind of a truth that she is all she needs, but it's framed in the way designed to upset Rey in that moment the most, because the cave wants to break her. It is of the dark side. It wants her to come roaring out of there, lashing out and spreading violence and hate. And for me, it works fine with Rise of Skywalker, because it is about pulling what's in Rey's heart in that moment. And I think Rey doesn't have any sort of sense of the truth.
Yeah, the journey incomplete. The great answer as always, sir. And for a Friday night on the fly with drinks in hand, I think I'm happy with our answers.
I took a bigger sip. Yeah.
And me staring down at a Chihuahua puppy that's not quite sure of her surroundings. We love those questions here, and we love digging in and finding what's there for us, for what we see. Answers and interpretations can always be different. We understand that. I'm going to toss two quick super chat comments out, Joseph. Well, one's a question. Hillbilly Scribs, my good friend Jeff Saunders, the force is strong with you guys. Jeff will be down there. He's a great cat, does a lot of wonderful work with the St. Baldrick's organization to help fight childhood cancers. And he finally gets a vacation, and he's selected Star Wars Celebration for his vacation. So Scribs, can't wait to see you down there. We just had this wonderful, deep conversation, this great question about Rey. Christian Miller has this one for us, Joseph. Can you guys talk about U-Wings?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. U-Wings are one of my favorite. I love Rogue One. Rogue One might kind of knock it out of the park for me for new designs in that early Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm era. I love the U-Wing. The TIE Striker is one of my favorite variations of the TIE. Shore Trooper might be like up there for my favorite trooper, because I love the ones that you look at them and they're like, that's cool. But also, if you think about it for a while, that's kind of weird and funny. And that's the Shore Trooper for me. TIE Striker looks like a vampire joined the Empire and said, I need a TIE fighter for vampires. And there's the TIE Striker. So the U-Wing is just this.
Sorry, I'm cutting you off. This is Anne Rice's TIE Fighter. Is that what you're saying? Is that what it is?
Yes. Instead of Interview with a Vampire, it's Cruise with a Vampire. Yeah. Tom Cruise. No, the U-Wing is such an amazing accomplishment, because it has like this relationship to the Republic gunship, which is one of my favorites because it is a troop carrier. But just the design to make it big enough to be a troop carrier, but still have that like energy and forward movement of an X-Wing, an A-Wing, a Y-Wing, and perfectly balanced that. Like, I mean, it's basically like, how do you make a bus looks like it's a race car? That's the U-wing to me.
As someone who grew up in a Volkswagen van, not in the van, but we rode in the van to places. Yeah, I call it the Volkswagen van of the Rebel fleet.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. And for me, the U-wing represents just a big success of the designs and the concept artists and the production designers and everyone making Star Wars in this modern era, that they are truly being influenced by the past, but they're doing something brand new, which is something you and I love celebrating about the Star Wars overall, the big themes in it. And the U-wing presented when it first kind of emerged before the movie came out. I had a little bit of, I probably might have been on some YouTube shows going, "Oh, well, where was the U-wing in the Battle of Yavin? Where was it? You tell me, sir." I probably had a little bit of that energy until I lived with the U-wing a little bit, and now it just seems so part of the universe. And I think we're blessed to be in this era where there's more Star Wars years after we thought there was no more Star Wars. So that means you're going to have new designs. You're going to have new plot points. You're going to have characters come back and new characters come in. And how well do they mix with this world you love? And the U-wing is a great example. To your question, Christian Miller, we all talk about U-wings. It's a great example of the success of this modern era for me, of giving you something that you already kind of feel you grew up with, even though it's brand new.
Yeah. Oh, it is beautiful. It's beautiful. You know what? We have another question that got reposted. And Ken, I think this is a question for you because I just don't have the knowledge base for it. Lauren Romo is asking downtown Disney spots to hit up during celebration. Here's what I remember about downtown Disney. There are some restaurants and some stores. And anytime I thought there might be action figures in the stores, I went inside. Other than that, I have not spent much time in downtown Disney.
Yeah, keep chatting for a second. I'm going to pull a reason to go to downtown Disney and show you
a reason to go to downtown Disney right there. Okay, let's this is a great comment. Doom Buggy has an emoji of a pineapple in a martini, a true celebration. If there was an emoji for a can, that would be all of Ken's drink. All right.
True. All right. Sorry, sir.
No.
I keep jumping off for dogs and art. Look, the what's in the stores changes, but I'm sure they're going to have Star Wars centric ideas and art and some things out there. We covered these a while ago on ForceCenter with Jennifer and everything like that. And I'm gonna give myself the old solo layout for a second.
Yeah.
So these are these art pieces that you can get down there. That are just some of my, again, will they sell these individual pieces? Probably not. But they are some of my favorite little pieces of art. Wonderground Gallery, I believe what it is. So I don't even know if that's still there. Maybe I'm selling a lie to you all that this is there. But regardless, I bet there's going to be a lot of stuff like this in downtown Disney. Going to be a lot on the floor. Save your money. Prepare your suitcases with enough space to travel back with it. But that's kind of what I'm looking forward to wandering around downtown Disney about.
That's really smart that the stores that sell lots of different things know to stock up on fun, unique Star Wars stuff that you might not be able to find elsewhere. That's really great. I'm gonna grab. This is not a question. This is a follow-up comment that I wanted to grab. Yeah. Hillbilly Scrib says, "I may be wrong, but isn't Rey's lineage come from Palpatine's clones? To me, her seeing an unending line of copies of herself really connected to the reveal of who she is." I think that's great. Yeah, I mean, there aren't, to our knowledge, Rey clones, but yes, it's a clone of Palpatine's who did not have the power of the Force, who eventually married Jodie Comer. That's her space name, her real name, Space Jodie Comer. Married Space Jodie Comer, and Rey was born. So that's a really, really great perspective. That fear of like she's totally alone, and that fear of even that endless line of herself was like that question of is that empowering the way Kylo wants me to think, or does that mean I'm a dime a dozen? And that definitely does tap into like really interesting questions about her clone past.
Yeah, no, absolutely love that. No, and Hillbilly, that's the thing, and you can look at these and dive into them and take it where you want to take it in a lot of ways, and we all have that power. Sometimes you can use that power for not good things, and otherwise you can use it like that to dig in and find what is there and connect to the larger story for you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff there. A couple questions popping in. I can't. Is it my turn? I can't remember. If I had too much pineapple martini.
I think it's your turn. That's what my drink says.
Thank you. Mike Olson, no question. I can't wait to run into you gents on the floor. Fingers crossed. That sounds like a threat. That
would be lovely. It's a really, really great part of the experience.
Yeah, LQ's got a question I'm going to get to as well about a Star Wars night at Galaxy's Edge. But Ben Potter just joined your Patreon this week. And yeah, Ben, I saw you pop up in their Discord. What should I look for on Patreon and Discord? And anyone I need to avoid, just kidding. All you need to avoid is me on Discord. Sometimes I can get a little grumpy and can come running in there about a scoop that took away my joy or something like that. I'm the problem. Everyone else in the Discord is a wonderful, wonderful ForceCenter friend, and I really do mean that. Our Discord, I'm in there every day, just kind of make sure something's going on, and sometimes debate or sometimes little things do pop up. And I got to tell you, you want to, as a podcaster and a broadcaster and someone here, Joseph and I building this ForceCenter brand with Jennifer all these years, you want to make sure you have the right tone in your community. You want to make sure people feel safe and protected, but also can just voice their opinions. And our Discord is just this wonderful example of fans and friends who get together, talk, occasionally disagree, and it's not a problem. And even when there's been a couple flare-ups every now and then over the years, by the time I get in there, after I sip my coffee, everyone's like shaking hands and going, my bad, so sorry, so sorry. And I love that about everything in our Discord community.
That is absolutely great. Ken does a great job checking in on Discord. I pop in every once in a while. I'm not as active on there, partially because it's really interesting. In the times that I've been in Discord, a long time has passed because they're really, really great, wonderful discussions going on between all of our listeners. So I'm gonna try to pop into there a little bit more often. I think for Patreon, it's the conversations on Discord. Ken does a great job of running it, making sure that there's lots of different things to talk about. For Patreon, there are two ways that we are active on Patreon. One is the monthly patron only show, Will of the Force, where we usually look at a visual dictionary, sometimes an art of book, and we just randomly flip to a page and we discuss whatever's there. And it's a really great exercise in. So we have thoughts on everything Star Wars, right? Let's test that, and we always do. Those books are so well written. So there's that's monthly that we post, and then every 2 to 3 months, I put out a fresh call for questions for our Questions of the Force show. So sometimes when people are new to Patreon, they're kind of wondering where to ask questions. If you just kind of scroll down a little bit in the post, you always find a call for questions.
And to be clear, Joseph's selling himself short a little bit there. I am in the Discord more than him. He is on Patreon more than me. We kind of share the load as if we're hobbits trying to get to Mordor there. I don't know. Great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you for that question.
Okay. Let's see. Grabbing some other questions here. I think you might have the answer to this one, Ken. I'm a little lost on this one from LQ. Is there a night Star Wars celebration attendees will be going to Disney Galaxy's Edge en masse? There's like a Star Wars nights thing, right? But then people could just go any night, right? I
think even that I'm not sure about, but even Lauren Romo here from the Galactic Podcast, and she'll be there. She's answering. I believe you can get tickets when you get the park at Galaxy's Edge. But yeah, Friday night, thank you, Brian, is Star Wars night specifically. I think it's just the one night. I don't remember 2015 Anaheim well. I wasn't doing that stuff. Orlando, I was a little bit more on the press side where we got to go as part of a press event. So I don't know what was going on normally. But yeah, so I think we would love to attend it. Grace might be there for that one. We would love to get there, but tickets are sold out. You have to kind of find a way to get a ticket, maybe in the third level, the Mickey and Friends parking structure. Someone in a trench coat will give you a ticket. I don't know. So it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. I do want to try to get there. I don't know if we're going to get there, but it's not about us. It's about you out there. And that is the night. And there's a spot where you can look for official resold tickets. There is a service. Alex Damon actually texted me about it this week because he and Molly. I'll try to remember that and look up that information.
Yeah.
Oh, and then they close it. They close it for Star Wars Nights as the Cali Kid. Great stuff.
Got it. Excellent.
Good stuff there. And then we got a kind of a programming question that we get every now and then, and I think it's great once we get it to talk about it. This is from Gaz Nottingham. I miss Databank Brawl. Any thoughts on when we could see a new episode? Like to throw Black Crescent versus Rothgar Dead in the ring as a wild suggestion. Joseph, Databank Brawl was absolutely your creation and what you have presented to all of us here early on. So I can cede the floor to you on your thoughts on Databank Brawl.
Yeah, so if anybody's a newer listener or hasn't listened in a long time, so Databank Brawl was pulling from the actual StarWars.com databank and grabbing the description of those characters, pitting two characters against one another in a fight, kind of evolved into we would kind of improvise like we're storytellers, telling the entire fight, how it happens, where it happens, the reason why, the blow by blow. It was a ton of fun. We just started to get into the bench really of Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian when no, not yes. How does time work? Anyway.
Pandemic,
when the pandemic hit, and we realized it was, especially when we were starting out recording over the internet, it was really hard to do Databank Brawl because it's improv and it necessitates a little bit of talking over one another. So we kind of gave it a rest. I think at some point we will come back to it. Like a lot of people in the world, the like, hey, wait, even though we're in LA, we don't need to drive to one another's homes. We don't need to schedule with our partners. Like, sorry, you can't do laundry. Joseph's over here talking about Star Wars or vice versa. Like, I know you need to go in late, Sarah, but I'm going to be talking about who'd win in a fight with Ken in the middle of our living room. So we've been continuing to record online, basically, the podcast version of working from home. I think the answer to the question is it would be fun to do like some one-off specials at some point. I think everything with ForceCenter has been like our eyes are bigger than our calendars with everything we want to do, everything we want to cover. But I would definitely like to do. There's been some great characters, right, that we haven't done. So it'd be fun sometime to get together for an afternoon, record 2 or 3, and have it be like a special thing.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think something that we're going to make happen here. It is for like a lot of folks. Once I adjusted to completely remote, I'm like, this is it from here on out for the rest of my life and everything I do. I'm not even going to go to your party. I'm going to go remotely, put a camera up, and I'll be there. But it is fun. Yeah, and Joseph and I are both have long standing comedy and improv backgrounds, though occasionally I get a little rusty in the old sketch and improv world. But it is it's important to be in the same space. I think cameras don't even really account for energy sometimes when you're doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it just was the right time. We also had done so many episodes, and most of them happening in bars when characters would fight. But it's a lot of fun. And I've been going back and listening to a lot of them while I go back. When we made that transition to Acast, there was a big technical error. No one's fault. It just happened. Actually, I'll tell you all the answer. We had too many episodes and we broke the podcast company. Their high level tech people came to us and were like, "You've never had this happen. You guys had so many episodes, and we transferred over. It broke our system." Now over 1,200 episodes. I've been going back and dropping in mid-roll commercial spots, kind of boring technical stuff there, but listening to the opening intros of the show where we get up to the great moment where Joseph says, "Now we fight," and it's been a lot of fun, especially with Mike Black and Matt Belknap and Emma Fife and Ash Cross and a lot of people, Hector Navarro, a lot of people we've had on the show doing those opening segments of Star Wars Minute, guys. I could go on and on. It's been a lot of fun. So Joseph and I missed it too, but hey, no one or no show is ever really gone.
That is exactly right. And Gaz Nottingham puts out a great plug here and says, if anyone hasn't listened to Databank Brawl, please look on YouTube for the amazing episode animated by Brian Ward. It's so good. I think everybody knows that Brian is just a great artist, does a lot of work for a lot of people in the community, got inspired and put together this wonderful animated version of Constable Zuvio versus Gus Tours, the action figures that were unloved from the Force Awakens throwdown. And Brian just knocked it out of the park with the animation and with editing the episode. Really great. So as always, thanks to Brian for that.
No, yeah, I think one of the if ForceCenter happens to end tomorrow, it's not, don't worry. But if ForceCenter ends tomorrow, I think one of the things I'd be most proud of is helping, not the only ones, but helping introduce Brian Ward to so many other people, especially in our space out here in SoCal. That episode and his kind of early artwork with ForceCenter definitely, I think, spurned him on to even bigger and greater things. And I still go back and watch that episode because one of my favorite moments in the podcast history of our show is you, Joseph, pitched it to Mike Black as to say, what does Gus Tours sound like? And Mike's voice, that reveal is still one of my favorite moments. And Mike Black, we'll get Mike Black on the show again too. He's one of my favorites, a Comedy Store regular over there. It was one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, he's so good. He's so funny. Calling back to one of our other conversations, we get good information in the comments here. The Cali Kid says about Downtown Disney. In Downtown Disney, make a reservation at Tortilla Joe's. You can also go to the Disney store in the Star Wars store. I didn't know there was a specific Star Wars store, as well as the Cupcakes shop. Well, that's an evening.
First of all, Cali Kid said it.
Yeah.
You're blowing my surprise. Okay. That's my restaurant. Back off, man. Back off, man. Love Tortilla Joe's. It's also nearby the amazing Lego store there. So we'll be around. But yes, actually, that's a good note. I'm going to make a note. Make reservations for chips and salsa.
And that is walk-up BS, right?
Great stuff there. I've been seeing this one pop up here, Joseph. Sandro Maldini says, I don't know if he's been repeating it or I've seen it in other places too tonight. Ken and Joseph, you think the fans will see the Falcon or the rise, or what's the rise of Skywalker, the end of the Falcon? Either way on the timeline. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, I think we'll definitely see the Falcon again. I think we're in this weird place with some of the kind of definitely the sequel era of, are we going to have any storytelling that goes past that? Or even earlier, somebody had said, hey, it'd be great if there was an animated series like the Clone Wars. Obviously, we had the Resistance, but something that went longer in the sequel era where things like the Falcon could pick up. I think eventually we absolutely will see the Falcon again. We're also just in this weird time where things that personally I'm like, that'd be fun. Sometimes make fans grumpy. Like, for example, if Rogue Squadron came out, it is like, to me, the text suggested it's set after Rise of Skywalker, and it is absolutely about a new version of Rogue Squadron. And at one point, the Falcon just zips in the background. I'd be thrilled. But I know that's the kind of thing that some fans are like, oh, I don't want the little Easter eggs anymore. That's a way that I could see us seeing the Falcon again post Rise of Skywalker, if we have some storytelling that's taking place after it and it just zips by.
Yeah, I like that idea. I definitely want to see the Falcon more. I definitely hope if there's a Lando series, maybe we get to see him owning that Falcon in that Lando version. Sandra points out, Rey owns the Falcon. So, hey, maybe some more Rey storytelling. We get to see Rey have the Falcon. The one thing I'll say is I'm fine with at one point on the forward timeline that we don't ever really see the Falcon again, so that I never have to accept or deal with even the possibility of the Falcon going the way of the Enterprise in what was that, Star Trek 3?
Star Trek, most of them, but Star Trek 3 was the first time.
With Christopher Lloyd, right? Playing the Klingon on that one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they'd ever kill the Falcon. It's like, don't kill the dog. Don't turn her and hooch it. I don't think they ever would, because the Falcon is it is a character. But that's why I just want it to live on in my mind.
Absolutely. I remember early punditry about the Force Awakens trailer, and there's one shot where the Falcon's zipping by an explosion, but it's like one of those half a second shots, and it looked just slightly possible. And I remember the heartbreak I went through of like, this is no. Ben Potter here says Lando and Janna using the Falcon to find where First Order conscripts came from. Yeah, I would be absolutely into that. That would be a great way to see the Falcon again. I'm really curious. Obviously, the Tales of the Jedi, there have been a bunch of rumors. It is clear from the panel description for Star Wars Celebration that it is a series of anthology shorts. That word shorts it's powerful. That's my whiskey laughing. I assume that's going to be like shorts, like 3 or 5 minutes. The reason I'm rambling about this, it would be great to have something like that with the Falcon.
Yeah.
To have like animated 3 to 5 to 10-minute adventures of the Falcon, and you can jump around eras and owners and just see kind of a one-off adventure. That would be awesome.
You're selling me on that there. Especially if you could maybe even have it animated by the folks, was it Titmouse that did Galaxy Adventures, right?
Yeah.
Great folks over there. Have it do, give me 3-minute little tales, kind of like Forces of Destiny with the, Tales of the Falcon. I'm there. I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. Christian Miller asks, do we know if the Lando show is step before or after Solo? On one hand, I want it to be after he meets Han, but on the other hand, I want L3 to return. It's a great sentiment. We both love L3 here. I think, Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, Joseph, I don't think we know anything about the show. And maybe Donald Glover, maybe not. It's hard to say. I don't know. I just don't think we know.
Yeah, I am forgetting the person's name. I think that there is rumors of a creative person, either rumors or reports of a creative person involved. Me and my whiskey don't remember exactly right now. We'll Google it.
Yeah.
But I think Lando is one of the big questions for that celebration panel on Thursday. That's our live action stuff. I think if they have more to announce, if they've locked it in, if they know that it's coming out in 2023 or even 2024, if Donald Glover is committed, if Phoebe Waller-Bridge is committed, then I think they'll announce it.
Yeah, and I am trying to scroll through. They did. Someone was involved, right? And we are both blanking on that name. So maybe Justin Simeon. Justin Simeon is the exec producer behind that one. There, that's what was announced. Look, such a fan of Lando here. Joseph and I, Jennifer as well. We absolutely love Lando. So I would love to make sure that that happens, and I would love an announcement. I'm excited. Timeline wise, hey. Like when you're eating chips and salsa and then they offer enchiladas and tacos, why not both? Why not both?
Take it all.
Take it all. Give me an older Billy D looking back or having a new adventure. Give me Donald Glover. Give me maybe even someone else if you go younger or need to, if Donald's not interested. I'd love that. L3. I know he and Phoebe Waller-Bridge were supposed to work on that updated, rebooted Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and something fell apart. So I'm going to choose hope and hope that they would still want to work together. Maybe there was something else beyond that project that just silly Hollywood gossip there, but I don't hear anything otherwise. So I think I would love to see L3 explored more. I think she's a great character. I think there was some things that might have been not mishandled, but maybe miscalculated, might be the way I would say it. About some of the things around the character, but also just what she represented. I really absolutely love Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I love her in Star Wars. So if you can get more, that's a victory, and then get more Lando, that's a victory. Hopefully we get an announcement.
Yeah, crossing our fingers for Lando details.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Thank you for that question and thought there, Christian Miller.
Yeah. So I think, Ken, are you seeing another question?
I am seeing a nice, generous super chat here. I'll bring up from Ronan. We love having Ronan around these parts. It's Friday the 13th, which, I live with a witch, so I should be. Maybe it's all good. Ronan writes, if you could create a short, campy Star Wars story, what is it? I'd have Krennic crash landing on Dagobah and having to survive the night in his freshly dry-cleaned white uniform. Hope you... That's hilarious. This is mud. This is mud on my cape. Hope you both and Jennifer have a nice weekend.
Are we blind?
Are we blind? This soup is bog. Oh.
Release the butlers. Clean my cape. Yeah. That's an absolutely great one. Well, I really want, I know that there have been the great comic books of Vader's Castle that are really fun, but I would love some more sort of like spooky. They did the Halloween special with Lego too, but it would be fun. There's that bit of it in The Gathering where the Ithorian, Biff, I believe, is terrified.
Yeah.
And I would really like, a youngling who's not confident yet, who is maybe like kind of like a fun youngling who's having a hard time. Maybe trips a little bit. Maybe there's a little element of that kind of Star Wars comedy. And they get separated from their master, and they discover just like a horrible, Sith temple underneath a Jedi temple, and they're entirely alone. And they gotta figure it out. They gotta figure it out.
Okay. I love that one. I love that. So I don't know if I have anything as great as that. I always go to when I think of kind of sillier or funny, campier, fun Star Wars stories. I always go to Bright Tree Village. I always want to see more there. I have this headcanon that Wicket and Princess Nisa do end up getting married. The village is hers to inherit, but maybe there's something there. So maybe their first date might be sweet. But this is my headcanon. I'm not saying that's the way it goes. I'm just saying that's what I would like. But you and I mean, I think it's pretty equal. I don't want to accuse you of something, Joseph, on air live. I think we're both kind of obsessed with Dexter Jetster, that scene and everything about Dexter.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't want to put those words in your mouth, but I would love to see Dexter at the dinner rush hour. Just him at his best. A short film of Dexter's big day at work. You got Wanda WA7 there. You got Hermione Bagua. You got the regulars. Throw Kenobi in there. Doesn't matter. Make it animated. I want to celebrate more time in Dexter's Diner. Yes, we are reading Brotherhood. Yes, Dexter's back. Dexter was also back in the Padme book, Queen's Hope. Lee K. Johnston. So we love Dexter. We love what Dexter always seems to represent, this intersection of knowledge and wisdom. And that'd be kind of fun for me.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm thinking about the Night Sisters because I saw Doctor Strange and I enjoyed it very much. And there's some the kind of horror that I like. I like lots of kind of horrors, but the kind of horror I like that was in there. And that's making me think of the Night Sisters. It would be great combine. I like the idea that on Friday the 13th, a wandering Night Sister puts like a hex on Dex. The short could be called Hex Dex. So he's got the bad luck, right? In things that would normally come to him easy, like he's flipping that spatula, he's cooking with all the limbs, right? And keeping his pants up, in everything he touches turns to bleep. You know that because he's got a Night Sister hex on him.
I love that there. If Oscar Film Forecast says in the Star Wars version of the Ratatouille, food critic shows up at his diner that day. See, this is great. Great question.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you, Rhoda. We thank you also for that generous super chat. We really
extremely generous. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Kingsport Cal, my old pal Kingsport Cal, from Johnson City, Kingsport, Tennessee area says, Vader slasher film, but he also says, where's that coming? Grace is performing a seance right now. You don't know how close you are. You don't know.
Yeah. Some great thoughts here. I am trying to find the one that scrolled away. Oh, this is a thought starter, Ken. Douglas Dubois says, I'd like to see an in-universe documentary where Din Djarin learns about Star Wars. This is one of my favorite Star Wars topics is, sometimes we talk about how it used to be for us really fun to joke about the original trilogy because you knew it came with love. Like if you talk to a buddy at the bar and they'd like want to make jokes about stormtroopers being a bad shot and Kenobi says no one's more precise than them, you always knew it was coming from a place of love. And then sometimes you don't know if people are kind of they're tearing on it because they really hate it. This joke about Din Djarin doesn't know Star Wars is that joke that we can all make that comes from a place of love. I don't feel like that's anybody going, maybe there's some people. In general, I don't feel like it's people going like, why Mandalorian doesn't work? It's because Din Djarin doesn't know Star Wars. I love it in the show. I love what it does to us as an audience that for the most part in the first season, he comes across as this utter badass who knows his way around blasters, ships, the bounty hunters guild. He's this tough customer who figures it out. Yeah. And then you realize like, he knows nothing.
He knows nothing.
In the compilations of him going, is that a Jedi thing? Somebody put it together. He's like, is that Jedi? Does that look Jedi to you? Are you a Mandalorian? Are you a Jedi? And then ended it with, is that a bench? Like he also just doesn't know what benches are. Love it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. And it's probably we've mentioned this kind of talking point before. It's okay to joke about Star Wars, and sometimes I feel I need to be reminded of that because it is weaponized. It absolutely is weaponized. Where you tell me Mando didn't know this about Jedi, plot hole and a video that tears it down, and I think I can have an aversion to that, and I react negatively to that. So it's great to remind myself that there's just some fun to be had by joking around Star Wars, and I would love to see this. I would love to see it done in like one of those kind of high school instructional videos about we're going to take you through puberty, and it comes down, but it's just like a protocol droid going, here is Star Wars. Here's where the Jedi are. And that Din's just like taking notes like, oh my gosh, maybe learning that the armorer has withheld some information, or Bo-Katan has a certain perspective. Yeah, I would just absolutely love all that stuff because it is kind of fun. And it's fun to see this character be in this world and not know all the things we do. It's a good reminder of they live in this story. We watch it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we talk about that all the time, that the galaxy doesn't really seem to know a lot about the Jedi at different points, because that's been, suppressed, or just doesn't know much about the Sith, because that's just like this weird, scary rumor. It's a big galaxy. But Din being kind of raised in this sort of, here are the 5 things you need to know. This is the way. That's good. I wonder if there's a possibility, because in Book of Boba Fett, we did see the armorer tell him more information.
Yeah.
But all from the armorer's perspective. So I wonder if we're going to get not a documentary, but at least like Bo-Katan sits him down and is like, okay, what do you think the Clone Wars is? When I know you were in it as a kid, but what do you think it is? What do you think it happened? What did you think was going on? Like, just tell me what you think you know about the kind of basic history from the last 50 years, Din, and I will share my perspective.
That's hilarious to me. I love that. I love that. That's a great question. Yeah, maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get it. Mando season 3. He's like, okay, I gotta ask him. Okay, I gotta ask him. I gotta know what's going on here. Armor, tell me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you're going to talk more about it on the show on Tuesday, Joseph. So I don't want to take away the information. You saw a play with the armor in it.
I did. It was amazing. I'll probably talk about it a little bit on the show. Apologies for any listeners who don't want me to double dip, but yeah, we had an opportunity to go see a show at the Wallace Annenberg. It was a great theater. Joe Morton, who many people will know from Terminator 2, from Scandal, from the half of the things ever listed on IMDb. Amazing, profound actor, playing King Lear, a role that it seems like he's been working towards his entire career. A lot of great actors, but Emily Swallow, the armor, was also in it. My wife and I didn't. So the normal stage is a proscenium stage, where it's the normal, like, here's the flat stage. You are in the audience. They wanted to create a theater in the round, so they put risers on the actual stage. My wife and I didn't ask for this. They set us on the stage. So, and it was intimate. Like, there was like one scene between Joe Morton and Emily Swallow, the armor, that was literally like, I have to keep my feet tucked or I might accidentally trip the armor. It was really cool. And obviously she's great in The Mandalorian. Phenomenal, powerful actor. And the other thing I'll say about it real quick is it is clear that she really made a strong choice for what the armorer's voice is. Because the character she's playing has some moments of affectation, of being up and light, and then some moments of frustration and some moments of darkness down here where the truth is coming out. And it was only really in these moments of like, I am gonna rip you to shreds, where you like heard the armorer, and it made me really appreciate her performance even more, because that's a real specific choice from that actor. That's not just like, yeah, this is what I sound like on Sunday when I'm at brunch.
Yeah,
that's a choice.
I love it. I know we're not done with that character. I do not want to be done with that character. Is she a villain? Is she halfway villain? Is she complicated? She's all of it. Is she a hero? Maybe in her own mind. I want so much more of that character. Yeah, great experience. Yeah, and I definitely I want you to share more on the show. But yeah, I've always been a fan of Joe Morton because of Terminator 2. But I'd love to see him in Star Wars too. I think he's got that Jedi kind of vibe to me.
Oh, he would be a great Jedi. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Oscar Film Forecast says double dip away, which is what I'll be doing at Tortilla Joe's at some point. Celebration. Couple comments. Another great super chat from Rob Mack. Actually, it's just a comment here. Just want to say ForceCenter rules. Thank you. Thanks for all the hours of Star Wars discussion. And go Celtics. Banner 18. That's right. NBA playoffs are going on right now.
Nice.
I'm a baseball fan. I'm a football fan. I casually watch basketball, but I'm a big fan of that HBO show Winning Time, and the book it's based on, Showtime, by Jeff Pearlman. And the Celtics are the villains in that series. So, Rob, you're rooting for the evil empire, but I'm a Yankee fan. I root for the evil empire in baseball. I get it. Highway Johnnyman, his name's Highway Johnny, but I call him Highway Johnnyman when he's on my Twitch streams because it just sounds like a Johnny Cash song, right? Says, I have a what if question. I've always wondered your guys' thoughts on what if Saw Gerrera died instead of Stila Gerrera and she lived on to fight the Empire instead of Saw? Well, man, we both love Saw Gerrera, but we also totally agree. Stila Gerrera, great character, gone too soon. Both in the story and maybe even how they could have used that character going forward. This is a great, wonderful what if from Highway Johnny. What do you think, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, having rewatched that arc and kind of did the deep dive for our Clone Wars report show, I hadn't appreciated how much that arc is about what does it take to be a good leader, and in particular, what does it take to be a good leader for something as challenging and sad as a revolution. In that idea that you needed to be willing to take action, you needed to be strong, but you also needed to be empathetic, and you needed to keep trying to reach out to other people, both within your coalition and even the people you're fighting against, to find the way to end this. And I love how much Stila is set up as the person who gets this lesson, and it's this tragedy that she's lost. I think the what if is she is one of the architects of the rebellion. She is up there with Mon Mothma and Bail. I think like her loss is like Padme's loss to how vital she would have been to successfully building the rebellion. And I think that's part of the story that Lucas was clearly interested in setting up, and why he was like, hey, you doing that Rogue One movie? I got this Saw Gerrera guy. That Saw is this guy who means well, but really sees it from the militant perspective, which is sometimes needed, but doesn't have as much of the empathetic and talk to the people side. And that's kind of the tragedy. I think it's why he's like, I love you, Jin, but I thought you'd be safer if I just ditched you. And like, good intention, bad execution.
Yeah, great thoughts there. I just love Saw Gerrera. I've grown to just appreciate him. And love Forrest Whitaker as the character, and I hope we have not seen the last of him in any kind of storytelling. And I always forget the gentleman who voiced him in Clone Wars, and he voiced him in Bad Batch. I apologize. I shouldn't forget that because he's so great too. And he again, like I said, came back for Bad Batch. But I love this character. But what I love about Saw is sometimes how I love some of my favorite characters in fandoms, whether it be Game of Thrones or other kind of things, or baseball, of characters who you are you can learn from, you can be inspired from, but you can also learn valuable lessons from. I think Saw represents some great things. I think Saw represents some bad things. And I think even Saw will tell you the wrong person died that day. Now, hopefully both could have lived, and hopefully both could have won. I think that's in his soul. I think that's part of what breaks him. Stila was the one. Stila was the one that should have led. Stila was the one that would have gone on to not greater things like it's a competition, but been more intertwined and maybe made the rebellion more powerful early on, where Saw, it almost hardened him in a way. I think maybe he couldn't grasp it. I think there was some trauma there he didn't work through, and therefore you're gonna maybe see things in a certain way. And I don't think Saw's doing things with bad intentions. It's I say this thing a lot. It's a good person who's maybe not doing everything good along the way. And I think there's lessons to take from Saw and General Draven, right? And that's where I kind of come down on. Yes, that's the big what if. I'm really there with you. She would have been there with Mothma. She would have been there with Padme and Bail and all those characters. Whether or not, I don't think she would have been a senator. She could have if she wanted to, maybe. But I think, and she would have understood that, military action might be needed, and she might have agreed with Admiral Raddus. Put that flipper down. Let's go fight. But it would have been a more balanced approach. I really agree with you there.
Yeah, I think that is a part of her character and a good part of Saw. Like, she's not going to hedge. She's not going to be Noah Jabel, my favorite guy who doesn't want to take action in Rogue One. Final thing for me on this, they'll just say real quick, is one of the things I appreciate more about Rogue One is how much it is the story of, even if you're fighting for something good, the fight can break you. Yeah. And I think Saw is this cautionary tale where he almost breaks and he doesn't. And Draven, I think, does break a little. And I think the story of Stila, the tragedy of Stila, is I don't think she would have broken. I think she would have kept her humanity.
I absolutely agree with that. Great stuff. Great question, Highway Johnnyman.
Another, I want to grab a question here from Sandro Maldini, who says, Ken and Joseph, where did Rey find the yellow Kyber, crystal? That's really fun. That's the kind of Star Wars things that I like. I really like nerding out about. where that story could come someday, but right now we don't know it. So you kind of get to imagine, and then someday maybe you get the actual story. I would love some storytelling about exactly how rare they are. We had such great storytelling around Rogue One of how much in Rogue One of how much the Empire pillaged the galaxy for kyber crystals to power the first Death Star. So like, are they really hard to find? Is that something? Is Luke collecting them? Is a part of Luke's journey, between Return of the Jedi and the sequel trilogy, is he's like doing a video game side quest of like, whatever else I'm doing, if I hear of a kyber crystal, I go over there. I collect that. So is that a stash that maybe Luke had? Or I would kind of like it if Rey had gone on, not to Ilum, because she can't. She's been there. Go somewhere else, in even though it's not like the Jedi didn't set up the gathering, but goes through some sort of trial or experience in order to find the crystal that calls to her. I would love that story if she went on a journey.
Here's my pitch that will never happen. I'm never going to get to pitch this, so I'm not worried about being rejected here by Lucasfilm. Give me a 1 hour. Just give me an hour give me Daisy Ridley right now. Give me a short film of Rey finds her crystal. Just a think piece of an essay of a independent film about Rey on her own journey to find it. And I think that thing, a phrase that you entered into our conversation, Joseph, of the tip of the iceberg storytelling. Which we should make a shirt of that at some point. And I'm sure we'd be the only ones buying it, but whatever. It's just powerful. It's a powerful reminder of what Star Wars or any other property that creates this larger world and then focuses on little stories in those worlds that are always big world changing stories, of course. Yeah, that the possibility exists, and we don't know. And I do wonder. The gathering introduced this big concept of this ceremony and this great purpose and this great lesson. And it's very introspective, the finding of the crystal, but not all Jedi, what do you do when you lose one? That's always a fun question. Do you have to go back? Do you have to go back to the Ilum shop and pick up another one? Does Professor Huang say, all right, I got to back up?
I think there's the Crucible, the ship that takes you to the gathering. And then I think there's the Shame Crucible that takes you back to Ilum because you lost your lightsaber.
It's Brian Posehn from Mando pilot episode. He pulls up and says, where are you going? You need a crystal?
And everybody walks up like, all right, I'll find the other crystal that calls to me. I lost it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, so I don't have a specific place. I don't have, maybe it's something else.
I kind of want it to be, a planet we've never heard of, a challenge for Rey to kind of step up and forward looking.
Yeah.
Now that I believe my place is here, who do I want to be?
Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Or maybe it's the Octo Island gift shop. We'll find out.
Maybe it is. Yeah, those fish pirates bought it back to their caretakers, wives. We got this very kind super comment from Ken Plume.
Hey,
just a shout out to Joseph in other Ken. If anyone is not familiar with Ken Plume, he does a bunch of great podcasts over the years. He does some great writing of behind the scenes books, Venture Brothers, DuckTales, stuff like that to check out. Ken is the person who has very kindly brought me and many other super cool people to Dragon Con over the years. And Ken and I have been friends for many years, but lately we've been getting to be action figure buddies where we are spurring one another on, where one of us sees the other post a new figure they got, and we either like, we got to get that one, or we got to get a different one. So, and there'll be more exciting action figure content coming from Ken Plume.
I love that. I have not I've not met that Ken, other Ken, as I know him, from my perspective, but I see him in a lot of spaces, and I know you're good friends with him. And it's good. Who was the friend? It was a good friend of yours I ran into at a pro wrestling show. I just didn't know he knew you.
Yeah, his name is Jeremy. Yes.
Yeah.
I've known Jeremy for years and years. He worked at Fantasy Flight Games. We've done a lot with Star Wars over the years. But the thing that Jeremy and I always joke about, in the year 1998, I did a show that was a benefit to raise money for a convention. We did some Star Wars sketches. We mentioned Coruscant, which I had only read in a book, and I was playing Wedge Antilles. Wedge was running for government in the sketch, and he was kind of bitter that everything was always about Luke, and he was trying to hide it and failing. And I had him say Coruscant because, like, I don't know, right?
Oh.
And my good friend Jeremy, now of decades, the first thing he said to me is like, "You said that wrong. It's Coruscant." And we have a good time joking about it. And Jeremy is he's done many things over the years, but he is an announcer for wrestling.
Yeah.
So you and Jeremy share a lot of loves.
Yeah, he goes by the name John Maddening, I think.
Yep, that's his social media handle.
Yeah, and we were standing next to each other at a pro wrestling show, and I didn't connect it till later on. Where it was anyways. Ken Plume, I hope to meet you one day, so I can meet all Josephs.
I'll set up some wrestling event and secretly seed the audience with all of my friends, and then I'll
love that. Thank you, Senior Phil, for the support of Super Chat. That's spectacular. All right. We got some more questions here. Sorry. Did I step on you? Yeah.
No. Go for it.
Kingsport Cal chimes in again. Says long time no see. Cal, you've been in chat the whole night. What are you? You crazy? Those knee rockets and Boba at the end made me cry. There, Joseph, you and Cal could connect over knee rockets. Can't wait for Mando 3. I want conflict. This is so Cal. I want conflict with the Darksaber. Bo-Katan versus Mando. And he phrases that as a question. So, Joseph, do you think we will see Bo-Katan versus Mando for that Darksaber, or do we think we'll see it someone else, or do we think we see it at all?
I think so. I think that is what's hanging over it. Well, first, I just got to say, knee rockets.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them so much. It was one of the things that I picked up at some point in my Star Wars fandom from a trading card, or I don't know, some adult just told me and I believed them, and then it turned out to be true. Loved them in Mando, and I was waiting in Book of Boba Fett. So when he does not just knee rockets, but an amazing yoga pose for an older man who's been in the belly of a Sarlacc, living a hard life. Yeah. Just, I paused that. I watched it by myself, watched it then with my wife. Then I rewound and I paused on that moment. I was like, what is the yoga pose that is closest to this? Because I want to do it to honor Boba Fett. So love those. Yeah, I think knee rockets for life. That's right. I think that I'm so glad that we got to see the beginning of Din's relationship with the Darksaber, where he kind of knows it has power, but he's just kind of wielding it in this brutish way, and he knows he needs to find purpose. Yeah. I'm really curious about the idea of if he, through his own journeys, through meditating with Grogu, through going to Ahsoka, going to Luke, going to a Jedi we haven't met yet, in whatever way, I kind of like the idea that he would start to come to a sense of what his purpose is.
Yeah.
And eventually Bo-Katan would be like, I will begrudgingly accept this if your purpose is to take back Mandalore, because that's what it's for. But if Din comes to a different, like, does he start, I don't know what his purpose might be for the Darksaber. If it aligns with him, because his purpose is to go to Mandalore only to restore his place in the covert.
Yeah,
I'm rambling a little bit, but I like the idea that Din finds a purpose with the Darksaber, and Bo-Katan is cool with that as long as it's retake Mandalore. And then he's like, no, that's not what the saber is for. I can see Bo-Katan breaking and going like, well, then I'm going to take it from you because that's what it's for.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind seeing an actual fight with them. It'd be kind of cool, and whatever weapon he might have or she might have, does he have it? Does she have it at that point? But I wouldn't mind seeing them. It's one of those things where I just don't want to root for only one of them, and I want to see them kind of what you're talking about. Maybe eventually they work through that conflict in the fight. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, where I don't want to see one slain, certainly. And I think I'd love to get more of Bo-Katan's perspective. There's a lot of blank space on her story right now that I think the armor is kind of putting out there in a way. You know what I mean? Where the armor is kind of almost like I expect her to be like Bo-Katan, like Cad Bane talking about Boba Fett, worked with or did this. they each, armor has a perspective on what Bo-Katan did. Bo-Katan knows the truth of the situation. You guys know what I mean by that. But yeah, I just would love to see them work through it, and that there's a combined purpose, and that maybe Din has it. Maybe Bo ends up with it. I like either answer at this point.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to think, stick the armor in there. Does the armor come out of hiding and go, actually, I'll take it? That's very interesting. I think for me, yeah, King's Sport Cal just said it, or they talk it out during the fight somehow. I think that's Bo-Katan's journey that we're going to learn more about, of that she's suffering from trauma, right? Sabine handed it to her, and she was like, good enough, and then she encountered tragedy, and now it's a fear reaction that the old ways, the violent ways, are the only way. I have to win it in a fight. And I think the Star Wars perspective is probably, you don't need to win it in a fight.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see. I think the challenge will be, can Bo-Katan get over her trauma and accept that?
Yeah, and obviously, you want some action, you want some conflict. You're telling a television story, but yeah, you got to keep in line with those Star Wars tenets. So I agree with that there. Senior Film, stopping back with a fun one here. Another thanks for the super chat. I always wonder why Vader would live in Mustafar after everything that happened to him there. It's almost like a sick joke. LOL. Yeah, it is. It is kind of a joke, in a sense of it's kind of a joke of the dark side. Of, you need to live with your pain. You need to wallow in your pain. You must always be surrounded by your pain. I think there's something to that there. That's a very general and generalized way to look at it, Joseph, I know. But I think there's, especially if you go to that comic line where him building the fortress, and there's just a lot there that is about suffering, pain, and keeping yourself in that kind of mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that if Sheev Palpatine, if Darth Sidious texted in real life, I think a lot of his text would end with a cruel, ironic LOL. Instead of "so be it, Jedi," it would be "so be it, LOL." Yeah, no, I think that's the whole point. There's some great stuff in the comic book about the purpose of him building the castle that looks out over the spot of his greatest defeat.
Yeah.
And what he ends up using it for, right, is well, I don't want to spoil for the comics. He ends up, if people haven't read them, because they're great, he ends up using it in an obsessive way that is going to make him only focus on his pain. And that's what it's about. Sidious wants him to focus on his pain, which then will make him angry.
Yeah.
And keep him in service to the dark side.
Yeah, it is a focus on self in so many ways. And George having that thought of true happiness comes from not just giving to others, but helping others and connecting with others, and that connection. And I think that's what's going on there. And also, it's a pretty cool castle.
It is pretty great castle. It is absolutely built not for entertaining, but for intimidating. It's like like, you used to have like people to have on sitcoms the sunken living room for parties. He's got the circular no rails for intimidating. Like, come into my living room and I'll scare the bleep out of you.
Are you and I born in a generation where that's why I want a sunken living room, because it was always on television?
It's just a conversation pit. It just feels like, let's get down here a little bit lower and relax.
I had some my parents' friends when I was like 8th grade. We'd go over to their house on the weekends a lot, and they had a sunken living room. And I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's the coolest thing ever. Nerdy Nightly checking in there. Hello, yo, awesome to catch you all live. Yeah, we'll be here for about 10 more minutes, folks. So if you have any final questions you want to get in, we'll do this again next month. But this is a final thing. Any Star Wars Celebration prep questions? Are you a first timer going to Star Wars Celebration? Want to ask something specific? Get it in now. We'll be here for about 10 more minutes. Then I have to go make some tofu vegan quesadillas.
Ooh, that sounds delicious. I want to point this one out. Ronan has a follow-up to our discussion about where Rey might get her yellow golden kyber crystal. Ronan says, Rey meets Hondo, who promises he can help her find a new crystal. Antics ensue. That's my headcanon. That's really fun, especially since the idea of finding your crystal should be a sort of introspective spiritual thing. To have somebody like Hondo along for the ride, like, I'm trying to find the crystal who calls to me. How much do you think it's worth?
I'm just a pirate selling crystals.
I want you to find yourself, Rey.
I love that there. Matthew Stokes says, have a great time in celebration. Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. And we're planning on it. Like it's going to be disaster would have to strike for it to not be fun. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yeah. No, it is going to be an absolutely great time.
Yeah. I'm going to answer this one pretty quick, Joseph, then we can get to some Star Wars ones here. Rob Mack, check. Rob Mack, the Celtics fan, non-Star Wars question. How did a kid from California, that's me, become a New York Yankee fan? Short answer. It's a valuable lesson. When you are not raised a certain way, when there's no boundaries put on your thought and who you want to be or what your identity is, you can connect with what you love. I was a Southern California kid, actually Central Coast of California, Rio Grande, and I played on a softball team in the 4th grade called the Yankees. And I went, I love the Yankees. I didn't know I was supposed to love the Dodgers or the Giants or the A's or the Angels. Padres were a little too far down the 5 freeway for me. I didn't know I had to like those, that it was a regional thing. I went to where my heart took me. And at the time, the Yankees weren't great. They had the history, but this was the late 80s. They were struggling. They weren't the evil empire. They hadn't built the team back up. So I just went with what I wanted to be, which was a Yankee fan. So there's your answer, Rob.
I think that's really great. Love it. Love it.
There we go. Some questions coming in here about celebration. Brian Ward, what's the weather like for celebration? I need to start packing. I'll start looking up Anaheim now while you answer that one, Joseph, here, or start the answer here.
Yeah, here's my thing is I think that you should always pack layers if you can, especially, the temperature shifts drastically in the convention, depending on how excited people are.
Oh, yeah. The inside the convention hall is pretty much just like Louisiana on an August afternoon here,
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it gets hot too. The other thing, so weird for me, coming from Minneapolis, which is Minnesota, which is very intense to both extremes. The thing in Minneapolis is you get very little spring and fall where it's just temperate. It's either extremely cold or extremely muggy. You feel like you're swimming through the air hot in the summer. So when I moved to California, I thought, oh great, I'm done. But now I've readjusted, so I need a jacket for every 10 degrees. I have a 50-degree jacket. I have a 60-degree jacket. When I went to that play the other night, went to King Lear, I wore my 60-degree jacket, and I needed my 70-degree jacket, and I was chilly.
This is a very smart plan. Layers, the ability to choose the best way to approach weather. I do get cold, and I actually love being cold. I don't know if I actually do want to go to Minnesota once in my life and Minneapolis. I do want to experience it. I really do. I love being cold. I love the art of getting warm. Grace does not. Grace is cold. I am warm. Anaheim, I'm looking at it now. Currently, right now, at 6:00 our time, it's 86 degrees out there. It is dry. Now it cools off. Here's your weather report. It cools off a little bit after some 90s later this weekend. And it's looking, my app cuts off at Sunday, but it's edging back up to the mid 80s. So we'll see. Anaheim, look, SoCal gets colder than people think, especially LA. We're in the desert. It can get cold. People can make fun of us, but it does get cold. It's not Minnesota cold. This I know. Anaheim has at this time of year, it can be pretty hot. So layers, Joseph's answer is the most correct. Options.
It's not fashionable anymore, but I got that great Lucas Darth Maul flannel from the Celebration store in 2019, the red and black flannel. Maybe I'll pretend it's the 90s and I'll tie that around my waist and then have that if I need it.
Yeah, there you go. I've got some great questions here. If you see one, Joseph, grab it. I'm scrolling up to catch some here too.
Okay, great
stuff. Yeah.
Go for it, Ken.
Nathan asks, what's your wild predictions for Celebration? If you aren't doing a preview show, we might still do maybe not a beat for beat preview show, but we'll definitely keep getting ready. I think here's my wild prediction is that I don't think it's going to be as wild as maybe we all want it. 2016 in London, which I didn't go to, was tepid. The response was it seemed tepid from a lot of people in the press. Like, I don't know, the Thrawn reveal, whatever. It didn't seem to be this big giant reveal. So I think sometimes, like on a May the 4th, we just are conditioned now to think a trailer will drop. This year it did. Other years it might not. And I think that can build sometimes unreasonable expectations. I don't think Nathan's question is unreasonable at all. I just think I'm just kind of bracing myself to not feel as though I don't know, to not expect that I'm going to know everything about every project. I want to know whether there's going to be a big surprise. I hope so. I think we will, but I'm pulling my expectations back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm keeping my expectations reasonable. I think, like we talked about earlier in the stream here, I think there's a possibility of just like a pop of movie news. Maybe not. I think there is a possibility of a pop of no information, but here's another Disney Plus show coming down the line. I also think that there's a possibility that they want to save that for that investor day boom of getting a bunch out at once and keeping those subscriptions rolling. The thing that I'm excited for is I do think there'll be an Andor trailer, like a straight up trailer. And
Okay,
I think that they'll really want to celebrate that because Kenobi will be up and running. Certainly, there's a Bad Batch season 2 panel, so there'll certainly be that. There'll certainly be a sizzle for that Tales of the Jedi. So I think we're going to have lots of little tastes of what is to come. The straight up Andor trailer is what I'm really hoping for and excited about for new big content.
Yeah, and I saw our buddy Alex David and Molly put out that Star Wars Explained video that says, "Don't sleep on Andor." That's the most aggressive video I've seen Alex put out in years, and I agree with him on that.
I think it's going to be really amazing.
Great stuff. Some of it logistics here. Oh, I got a great super chat from Ken Plume. We'll get to it in a second. I got an answer for that. Cali Kid asks to get into the Force Center / Star Wars Explained panel. We need to make reservations the first time. First come, first serve. To be clear, it is Star Wars Explained's podcast show on the podcast stage, and Alex and Molly have graciously invited Joseph and I on. Jennifer had some other commitments at this time, so we'll just be us two. So as far as I know, it's 2:00 on Thursday. And guess what? I kind of made a graphic for it. Oh, wait, I got to get the other graphic. Oh, I got to do all the things. This is what happens when you produce your own show here on the fly. So there we go. That is that. Yeah. Yay. So 2 p.m. Thank you to Brian Ward for putting together this graphic. As always, this is going to be a lot of fun, but it is their show that we're excited to be part of. As far as I know, it is just you get in line and you wait.
Yeah, I think so. I was looking at some of the stuff today to sign up, and I don't think that stuff is. I think all that is for the big panels. So I think it'll be fine to just show up.
Yeah. Yeah. But look, Alex and Molly, they do have a certain drawing power. So give yourself some time to be there if you want to see. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone there.
Yeah, exactly. We got a programming question here from Christian Miller. How will the podcast rollout work during celebration, instant reactions, or days later ruminations? Lots of ruminations. We're just going to film ourselves looking out of windows like Anakin and Padme in our individual hotel rooms. No, the one thing we know for sure is those first 2 episodes of Kenobi come out, Thursday night into Friday morning. We'll definitely be recording, probably not as detailed because we'll have only been able to watch them once and not comb through them the way we normally do. But we'll definitely do a Kenobi podcast. And then, I was looking at that schedule today to have this conversation with Ken to see how much we want to do some recording while we're there and how much we want to wait until the weekend's over and bundle it all up. So we're deciding.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I think I'm bringing some of the gear down and setting up in the corner of the hotel room, like a good content creator should. They got me trouble at once in Las Vegas from the pro wrestling alumni convention I go to every year. Like they security came in and we're kind of like, what's going on in here? What's going on gear in here? But we're gonna set it up. And yeah, Joseph's right. We are definitely gonna have something out about Kenobi. Is it gonna be a big 2-hour deep dive? We want it to, but that would mean we would be in the hotel room for most of the day on Friday, and we might not only want to go experience things, but we might need to get to somewhere. So we're gonna strike a nice balance. And then as far as other things, yeah, I think Joseph's right. We're going to kind of figure it out and just be prepared and be ready. And then when we come back and we take a few extra showers and rest for a good day, we'll record and get into some deeper dives and ruminations.
Yeah, and certainly I think when we do the news catch up, even if we cover some of the big things, we'll definitely want to get Jennifer's take on them on the news show.
Indeed. So yeah, and Nerdy Nightly confirms the sign-up is only for the 2 big stages, as far as I've heard.
Excellent.
There you go. And then so my 72 still Bill says this is not the question I wanted to choose. My 72-year-old mom wants to know why the Ewoks are so good at murder. I think it's a sense of survival and purpose and being overlooked, and they ain't going to take it anymore. That's what I think.
Yeah. Practice.
A couple more questions. I do want to get to this one from Ken Plume. Question for Ken: your holy grail Star Wars figure. So overall, I don't know if I even have that answer right now, Ken, if it's just the one I've been looking for my whole life. But going to Star Wars Celebration, I've said this on the podcast already. I am looking for some loose Kenner figures. I'm going to be going around to the bargain bins, not the ones on card with non-punched on card, $2,000 or whatever. I had a lot of fun at a previous convention. It wasn't even Star Wars Celebration. I think it was a WonderCon, and I picked up, I think it was WonderCon Rosemont, Chicago. Picked up a Kenner Han Solo, which I never owned. Even that batch of figures I sold at my infamous garage sale mistake in my life, I never had one, and I picked it up for $10. It was pretty good condition. I have it on my shelf. I won an Emperor's Royal Guard, maybe a Biker Scout. Some of those figures that I had and lost over the years, just kind of want them back. And I don't need them on card. I don't need to display them. I just need to know that they're in my life. So, Ken, that's kind of what I'm looking for going into Star Wars Celebration when I got a moment on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it changes for me. I got a list going of some of the figures that either I know exist and they're findable and I want to pick them up. I think the one that's probably a little bit beyond my means that I covet right now. I mean, there's like the carded Kenner stuff, but that's like so, beyond. But one that I really love that just slipped through the cracks is when they were making the kind of overlap Force Awakens line, Rebels line, I believe, or no, actually it was a little earlier, I think. The Rebels card with the Stormtrooper with Sabine's Starcrest Firebird on it. The Jedi Temple Guard. I want that Jedi Temple Guard. And he's one of those ones that just slipped in and is like, they're expensive because they're cool.
Yeah.
And it was a short line. So the Jedi Temple Guard, I got my eye on.
That's a good one there. That's a good one. Love that there. All right. Couple more super chats, and we're going to start signing off here. Madison Badger says, Hey, Madison, if you see R2D2, please say hello for me. We will.
We will beep at him.
And then Anakin Crespin has this one, Joseph. Do you like the idea of David Harbour playing Porter Engle if he ever made it in movies or television? Yes. I love David Harbour. I love Black Widow. It's one of my favorite MCU films. I love seeing him in that film. Stranger Things, all the stuff. I love him in Quantum of Solace, to be honest, as well. We were watching Stranger Things, like season 3, Grace and I. She turns to me and she goes, you are just like David Harbour. He pretty much is every character he plays. Just a big, lovable grump. So I think that's perfect for Porter Engle. I want this. This is a fan casting I can get behind.
Absolutely. He's got a great vibe. I absolutely can see David Harbour making soup, and you're happy he's making soup, because if he's not making soup, he is ending you. Which is what Porter Engle, the Blade of Bardata, can do. Great casting.
Absolutely. Okay, we're almost out of here. Joseph, I'm going to give you all the power, and if you got one final question, let's go home. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. I'm scrolling up to a fun one to send us out on. These have all been great questions. The practical ones, the fun ones, the headcanon ones. Thank you all so much. I don't know about you, Ken, but my mood is greatly improved from having this great Friday night with Star Wars fans. We're going to go to Oscar Film Forecast. Oscar F Forecast. What Star Wars character do you think would be the most successful social media influencer?
Okay.
It is a hard one. Not just the best on social media, which is the way my mind quickly read it. And then I realized the specificity here is the power. Not successful on social media, but a social media influencer. The best person in Star Wars to say, hey, guys, you gotta, I've got this new deal with Ewok brand pointing sticks.
Man, you stumped me. This is a great one, Oscar F Forecast. There's part of me that wants to say that it might be like I got it. I almost I don't want to steal an answer from you, but it's almost Leo Primoc. It's almost that weirdo. Someone with a little bit of influence from an entertainment kind of world. I just don't know if it fully works as my answer there. That's where I'm kind of going with it.
Yeah. Well, here are a couple thoughts. If it's just straight up best social media user, Leia Organa, because she could be super smart and super funny.
That's true.
Worst social media influencer, the person who would try, who would be attracted to it and would just do terrible is Watto. I love the idea of Watto flapping around. Like the way he tries to kind of charm Anakin in Attack of the Clones and utterly fails. So he's like, "Hey, look at you, Jedi." You know, like if he would be the influencer that you can absolutely see that it's not sincere from him. He's not building anything real.
Watto is also the type of Twitter user that occasionally puts out a tweet that's actually a text he meant to send. Yeah, I'll be there too.
Yeah, he's got tweets that just stop in the middle. Lousy, stupid. He just tweeted lousy, stupid. Nobody knows why. Yeah, that's really great. Hondo, it came up from Ronan. That I think Hondo's way up there for me.
Good one.
Because I think the influencer power is you can only really start selling things to people once they're engaged with your life.
Yeah.
Hondo's charming as hell, and he's got a weird life, and he can be the influencer of like, guys, you'll never believe what happened to old Hondo today. Right? He can hook people to begin with. You're following sad sack Hondo, and then he's like, it'd really help Hondo out if you'd buy some of these rings.
Yeah, Garza Flip says Josh Bernard. That's a good answer. I think we might have. I think Kingsport Cal. Ben Potter says Tordoza. That's a good idea. Kingsport Cal might have an answer I want to submit for approval. It is those biker kids for Boba Fett. The mod.
Drash, I believe. Yeah.
Drash. Scad, right? Scad. The good old spinning. Yeah, because there's something about them being the generation kind of in the driver's seat for pop culture and culture. A generation that is about change and taking the old ways and adapting them and finding their own way forward. They look cool doing it. And you might not think you love those brightly colored scooters now, but a few tweets later, a few posts later, you'd be like, you know what? I think I might get a green scooter.
And you know what puts them over the top? They have a phone and a ring light built into their bodies because that's what they do.
That is what they do. And this is what we do, but we do it with all of you out there. This has been a fun time. If you were with us at the top of the show, Joseph and I both had some bad weeks and annoying days. We were a little grumpy, a little glum, and now the power of Star Wars and the ForceCenter fans, Joseph, we are feeling better.
Yes, we are. This has been an absolutely great time. Thank you so much. Ken, do you want to let people know where they can find us? You're great at rattling it off.
It would be my pleasure. We don't do these shows on camera, so let me do it exactly how I do it when I'm recording the podcast. I just kind of look down and go, yes, we are the ForceCenter podcast feed. You can find us on Twitter at ForceCenter Pod. We're at Instagram and here on YouTube. Subscribe and tell friends that you saw this live show. We can be found on Facebook at ForceCenter Podcast. You can get an audiobook on us by going to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Get merch like this. Speculate Responsibly t-shirt designed by Brian Ward on tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. And you can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Find me at Ken Napzok. Go to my website, kennapzok.com. If you want more information on comedy shows, I'll be at Flappers May 19th and The Troubadour June 4th. Ryan Sickler headlining now. Josh Wolf just added to this show. That's my journey. Joseph, where can they find you?
Oh, that was beautiful. Well done. A round of applause. And this is what happens if you just ask Ken in real life, what you got going on? He'll say that. He's got it. He's got it down. It's amazing. You can follow me on all the social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not as successful a social media influencer as the mods, but you can find me there at Joseph Scrimshaw. And you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for all of my other adventures, past, present, and soon the future. But for now, for myself, for Ken, for Watto's terrible social media presence, this has been ForceCenter Live. Thank you all so much.